What is up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well and having a great time. Of course, thank you for joining me here today for a very special episode. Today, we have got the Florida men together, and that means it is myself, Andrew, Esquire of Legal Mindset, and my good friend, Stephen Gosney. And we are live on a bunch of platforms today. We've got my channel, Steve's channels. We got Rumbles. So we're rumbling, we're YouTubing. We're all over the place, wherever you guys watch stuff. So it's really good. It's really fun to know that we are blasting this out.
We're blasting it. Yes, we've got the piles and piles of Legal Mindset viewers, and you've got the 5 or so Gosney viewers that come here to see me debase myself in the.
If you build it, they will come to Daytona.
Yes, I'm wearing my Subaru lesbian shirt in honor of Flux.
Awesome. Oh yeah, people asking about locals. Yeah, okay, all right, locals. All right. I'll start a little thing for you. But before that, look at this member chat. Ike Braflopsky, member for 4 months, says Shanatoya Goyim. What's going on, Ike? Good to see you. Thank you. And shout out to all the members. Real quick, before this episode started, I uploaded 2 new emojis. One is the live. So anytime you guys are going to ask, are we live? Just throw the live emoji in there. You can get that if you're a member by just typing
We're pre-recording this, right? This is all.
Oh yeah, this is pre-recorded. It's pre-recorded. Yes. I'm somehow pulling up Nick C's member chat that says, "Hey-o." Somehow I'm doing that as a pre-record.
It's amazing. You're just this is the power of the Florida man. You're just summoning it down. It's amazing. Foresight, such foresight.
The other one is the rat. So if you type in rat, you get the rat emoji. No resemblance. I have no idea what that has resemblance to at all whatsoever. No idea what the rat has any resemblance to at all whatsoever. But there will be one more emoji coming up soon. But as of course I promise new stuff, and your man delivers. Because this is Florida Man and Florida Man delivers. No, but honestly, we thought about doing this episode because Steve and I, we had another episode before.
And something, I don't know what it was. Whatever the topic was, it was like, let's talk Florida Man.
Yeah, we were completely buried the topic. We talked for like 2 hours on Florida Man. And we just completely buried the topic, ended up talking about Florida topics. So I'm like, we got to do that again and just actually talk about Florida topics. Like, that's just more fun. Let's just do that.
And see, the thing is that most of the world misunderstands what Florida is about. And I think that, I was born and raised in Ormond Beach, Florida, which is at Daytona Beach, north of Daytona. That's where I am right now. And probably going to be buried here, right? I mean, so, and
my uncle lives there, by the way, so I'm familiar with where you're from. I'm familiar with your area,
And I mean, really, I'm a Central Florida. I mean, I go up to St. Augustine, I go to Orlando, grew up in Orlando, St. Augustine.
You worked in Orlando, you worked.
I did not. I worked in DeLand.
But you were in the circuit.
I was in Flagler. Oh, well, that's where I do appeals, and Orlando used to be.
Correct.
We traded Orlando for Jacksonville. And then, of course, I love Tampa. I mean, I've been all over Florida.
By the way, I would not trade Orlando for Jacksonville as a holistic. Like if you told me pick one, you get Orlando or Jacksonville. It is Orlando every single day. I'm sorry, people. Jacksonville, I'm okay if you're ceded to Georgia. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm okay.
No, we'll keep
We'll keep your beaches and your islands, okay? But we'll keep Fernandina Beach, right? We'll just carve out the municipal area of Jacksonville and just keep Fernandina Beach, keep the islands. The rest goes to Georgia. I'm okay with that.
It really is South Georgia. So Jacksonville,
it really is.
South Georgia, and so let's be fair. But however,
I like this. It's the Rian Johnson of Florida.
Oh, that's simple.
He's the one who made he's the one who made The Last Jedi. Right, it's like the worst film in the Florida Man series is the Jacksonville edition.
Okay,
sorry,
I don't know. Sorry. Well, Jacksonville, I'll tell you, Jacksonville has some pretty brutal areas. Let's just put it that way. I mean, the stuff that I get, like when you're talking about trading in Orlando for Jacksonville, what we're doing is we're trading transvestites in the Millennial Mall for like brutal thug killings in the streets of the hood. So it's like a whole different gambit, right? I mean, oh my God, the first case I got from Jacksonville was the most brutal, bloodthirsty, cold-blooded murder I've ever dealt with. Well, I couldn't say that, but it was pretty bad. And I'm like,
there's some bad ones in Jacksonville specifically. The murders are kind of nuts sometimes.
See, I mean, the facts. The thing, see, this is the problem with criminal law is the facts come right to your forefront. In fact, this would be the biggest argument for me retiring outside of Florida, because every location I see, I'm like, oh, murder happened there, and I remember the pictures and I remember the location of the fact, and so everything around me reminds me of these cases that I dealt with. So it's like,
is there any safe space for you in
pixie dust, you know?
Matrix says, rat, happy to catch you live, born in Orlando. What's up, Matrix? Good to see you. Orlando's certainly changed. If you're born in Orlando, you have seen a radical change in that city from orange groves and Air Force bases and Navy bases to essentially, like you said, trannies in the Millennium Mall, right? So it's gone a long way. It's gone a long way.
Well, and I could share my Orlando picture. Is it the right time?
Are the people ready? Well, you know what is the right time for Patrick, who gifted 10 Legal Mindset memberships. Guys, thank Patrick so much in the chat. Make sure you click on that and you have it clicked on to accept gift membership so you can take that back and take that in as your membership and get the rats, get the lives. Also, Xander Durant said, Steve, there are no women to simp for here. I'm shocked.
Well, but see, in Florida, we don't really care so much. You can go either way as long as you're at the park.
Wait.
I mean, when you go see the pixie dusters on the parade and they're dancing,
it's true.
You don't really know exactly who Tinkerbell is. I mean, when I remember, people don't know this, but during the fireworks, well, a lot of people do. The fireworks at the castle, there's somebody that will do a zip line all the way from Futureland, or from the castle all the way to Futureland. There's a zip line, and they dress up like Tinkerbell, and they have flashy wings, and they zip line down at nighttime, and it's really cool. I'll tell you, 50% of the time, it's not female. I'm just saying. I don't want to.
Well, okay, look. I can say this: if you're saying it's got to be an extreme sport, there are very few that are physically capable of doing some of those things. Like that are, I mean, if you look at, there are, of course, there are stunt doubles and everything else, but there's just more. If you look at, like, for example, stunt doubles. There's more male stunt doubles than female stunt doubles.
Well, but it's on kind of an honor. I think they kind of pick it from everybody. It's not one person. It's a new employee every time, and I think they pick that. So, sometimes it's the guy that's the horse tender, right? So they dress him up as Tinkerbell and they put him in the castle and they come flying down with it. It's pretty funny because if you look closely, like, wait a second now, something's up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But what I want to start with today, one of the things I wanted to kind of lean into right away is there's always been this. Now there's like the Florida Man headline generator, which we can do later. But before that, there is this right here, this Florida Man birthday challenge. So we can find through your birthday the events that happened on your birthday in Florida. And actually, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to change browsers with this because I don't like the ads on the side. So I'm going to change to Brave from Chrome. But that being said, there's always something happening in Florida. And I think this is like the one thing that to me proves it, is that no matter what day of the year you pick, something crazy.
Absolutely. And we're proud of that. We do have a big population.
Very proud of that. So, for example, if we go with my birthday, which actually ironically is the example birthday here of August 5, right? So you just search that up. And I believe, yes. Okay.
Oh, so
lots of different ones here. You see some clients. Yeah, exactly. Okay, here we go. August 5. Florida man arrested for slapping his pregnant wife when he saw her smoking a cigarette.
Well, of course you do that. What? Of course, yeah. That's part of the deal.
I mean, okay, actually, you know what? She was smoking a cigarette. Okay, so a Florida man named Felix Taylor, who lives in Pensacola, slapped his pregnant wife when he saw her smoking a cigarette. A search warrant has been issued after complaints, and Taylor was arrested for by police on charges of aggravated battery and sent to jail. When the incident took place in March, Taylor, who lives in Pensacola, got in an argument with his wife. The reason for the argument was his wife smoked even though she was pregnant. Taylor, who had a minor nervous breakdown on what he saw, attacked his pregnant wife. The woman who suffered minor injuries said that she was caught by Taylor while smoking. She stated that Taylor was very upset when he saw a cigarette and told her she should not have smoked while pregnant. Is that not endangerment of the child? And can we not charge someone for that?
This is what here's the first rule. In Florida, we charge everybody for everything.
Yes,
so,
yes.
This is the thing. True. It's like, welcome to Florida. You're under arrest.
Yeah. I mean, once again, it is everybody's getting charged here. It's definitely an interesting one here. Benjamin Lewis says, remove the Rodman Dam. Florida's environmental mistake.
Yes. Well, actually, yes. I would say bipartisan. One thing I will give a comment to the Florida people is that we have been pretty bipartisan in environmental works. And for several decades, I think we've been doing very good at environmental preservation. We have something called mitigation banking, where anytime something's developed, they go into a fund and then they prioritize environmentally threatened and environmentally valuable properties if you've got a little mud puddle in the middle of the city and it's like, okay, we want to clear 10 acres, but it's wetlands. Well, you pay into the mitigation bank and they might be able to buy 1,000 acres out in the middle of nowhere that connects the Okefenokee Swamp with the Ocala National Forest, right? And so they're balancing this growth. And I know that the Everglades restoration program has been...
It's sometimes 4-to-1, by the way. That's like the actual ratio. Sometimes different jurisdictions deal with it differently, but some of the ways, and of course, is what I did, right? So some of it is like you have to have essentially 4-to-1 in terms of wetlands to development. Right. So it's really changed in terms of protection of the environment. And I will say people look at the Everglades differently now. And I think most of us grew up learning about it, but I think we understand it now better. I mean, for example, that the Everglades is a river. It's more easily conceptualized as a river rather than just like an unmoving swamp. Like it actually is a river that's moving from it's moving south from
a river of grass, and
very really, slow moving, very shallow, but it is a river.
And here's my first Florida man point: is that most of the alligators in the world exist in the Everglades. I mean, they have over 1 million alligators in the Everglades, literally. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize, they think, oh, gators are all over. If you've got a pond that's of any size, there will be a gator in that pond. So it's a matter of like, you just assume that. The first rule of Florida man, assume there's a gator in any open pond.
Yes. That is a critical rule. If there's any body of water, assume there can be an alligator in it, and probably now some form of snake, either a water moccasin, which is actually the more dangerous of the two, or a Burmese python. So
Burmese python, those are invasive species. We don't care. I have a video.
Well, no, we do care. We do care.
Okay, I want to share a video just for all the New Yorkers that want to move to Florida. I have a short video that I want to share to explain to you the alligator. Okay, so can I share my screen here?
Yes, you can explain and share your screen. Go right ahead.
Okay, let me see here. Okay, ready? Can you see that? I'll push play.
Now I can play it. Yeah, I can see.
So just for any New Yorkers that want to come visit Florida, I want you to let you know.
Yes,
we have a little friend. Say hello to my little friend.
Yes, and they're ambush predators. That's actually how they attack. Right, by laying in wait.
He is waiting for you to get within range, and he knows exactly what range that he can be. Otherwise, he's completely passive. Is reserved energy.
They are very passive. They're very passive,
and they love little dogs.
They very much do love little dogs,
and that's where most people get attacked. Is they're walking their dog on the golf course or whatever, and they ambush the dog. And boy, we can't let Fifi go to the alligator, and so people start hitting him with their purse, and then the woman gets chomped too. This is explaining. I'm just telling you.
Or the tourists, right? If you go out to Shark Valley, for example, right? Very nice place to go out to view the wildlife. They've got all the alligators there, and because a lot of them are lounging, some of the tourists come up and they put their head next to an alligator and take a selfie. And then all of a sudden they're missing a limb, right? Because they see the alligator still and they're like, oh, well, it's not moving or it's dead or it's not paying attention or it's sleeping, but it's a reptile.
Now, if you're a real Florida man, you will know the Florida alligator's weakness. And that is, what is its chomping power is incremple.
Its bite strength, but its opening strength is nothing.
See, okay,
that's the thing about the alligator is that it can chomp super strong, but literally with a couple fingers, you can usually keep its mouth closed once it's chomped.
And so if you take a stick and you go, and it's bit, then you grab its mouth and you got it hold, and that's done. It's done. It's over.
It is your biatch.
It is your gator.
You can ride it. You can do whatever you want. You can make it into jerky. It's done. It's R.I.P. Gator. It's R.I.P. Gator.
And the Seminoles, of course, they fed on the gators. That was a big source of food. Gator tail, fritters.
Yeah. It's good stuff. The Miccosukee, the Indians out there, they were the only unsurrendered tribe. They're actually officially still at war with the United States, even into the 20th century. So they were found out there in the middle of the Everglades, still holding out, right? Because they were left over from the Seminole Wars back with old Jackson. A lot of escaped slaves out there. And eventually they said, hey, we're here. It's the 20th century. We don't do this crazy stuff anymore. Let's end this and let's sign it off. And they were out there eating gator and, all sorts of stuff. But I will say this, Steve, you scoffed at it, but I very much think Burmese pythons are going to become part of the Florida man story. I mean, if you just look at now, Florida man is smart. Florida men are hunters. So they issue bounties on them. And there's a hunting season now.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, I love there and hunt it.
Florida man will find it.
There's like high school contests, fundraising contests, where they go out and they'll go into the Everglades and see how many Burmese pythons they can tackle.
So my buddy, who is a water engineer, and I was out there with him on this. Actually, he was just showing me what he was doing and his job. He's giving me the rounds, and I just went out with him and maybe or maybe not was drinking while I was watching him do shit. And all of a sudden, I hear him yell, and he's like, "Oh crap!" He's getting wound up by a Burmese python. So he's in the water. He's waded in. He's got his waders on. He's waded in, but he's getting his legs wrapped by a Burmese python.
It's kind of like the Star Wars, the first Star Wars.
Luckily, he had a knife, not a blaster, pistol, right? And he just took the head and got out of that one. But I mean, those are the situations Florida man can get in.
Well, a true Florida man would have a knife with it. That's and this is what you should do if you're venturing out into. But I will tell you, there's a much more fearsome creature in Florida than the alligator, and we Florida men know this, and it's called the mosquito.
Yes.
So I fear mosquitoes much greater than the alligator.
Now, here's the thing, though, with mosquitoes, Steve, is that for me, I don't know if it's something about Florida. Now, when I'm abroad, around other countries, mosquitoes target me, right? I'm over here in Korea. These Korean mountain mosquitoes, they come after me. I'm in Thailand. They'll come after me. But when I'm in Florida, my native land, I feel like the tourists are always more of a target than I am.
Well, and here's another bit of Florida knowledge that we need to share with our people that are watching, is that mosquitoes have a certain intelligence, and they will go after one person and completely leave another person alone. So if you're walking with your loved one through the beach and you're like, this is the most beautiful thing, and meanwhile your love is getting swarmed by a cloud of mosquitoes and you're like, what are you talking about? There's no mosquitoes here. This is because mosquitoes have a certain taste and they only like certain people, and it's completely random. It's completely random. They get together and they pick who they're going to target, and it's like,
and they go hard. They go very hard. They go very hard. Luis Sebas says, "Femboy Tinkerbell, let's go." You're going to see more and more of that. Don't worry. Disney is definitely putting that out, which is why you can just drop those rat emojis for no reason in the chat. Just drop the rat emojis. If you guys become a member and get a gift membership, the rats are out there. All right. Incoherent Turd says, do a leap year of February 29th. I will do that, but first we have to do Steve's birthday. because that's more important. So just the day, just the
September 7th.
September 7th. Okay, so let's see here what we have, what Steve did. Oh, there's so many good ones here. Okay, let's start with actual September 7th, which is this dude. Oh,
looking rough.
Florida man caught stealing mail from mailbox and attacked homeowner. The incident took place in Hawthorne, Florida. A Hawthorne man was caught stealing mail from a woman's mailbox and attacked her. Sheriff deputies who made a statement said the man was only wearing underwear at the time.
Of course. Why would you do anything different? That adds the flavor. That adds the Florida man flavor. See, if this was in like Michigan, the guy, he'd steal the mail, he'd get into. But here, our Florida man is only wearing underwear, so we just got to outdo our neighbors.
Yeah, and then another one which they mentioned here, another incident on September 7th. Florida man drunk and naked allegedly set house on fire in failed cookie baking accident. I mean, that works. That works out. That works out.
We're in competition to see who can be the most creative.
I can definitely see that. All right, we'll do February because we got a super chat, and if you guys send a super chat in with a request, I'll put it in here. Let's see. Okay, here, Florida man birthday, February 29th. All right, here you go. So the leap day. A Florida man set fire to the bed in the hospital while trying to get the attentions of nurses at the hospital. John David King said he wanted to burn a plastic bag at Smyrna Beach. We all know where that is, and burn it with a lighter. King said he didn't want to harm anyone, but he thought the nurses did not care about him. Oh,
see, this is in my county, New Smyrna Beach.
Yes.
And there's some little factoids that you need to know about.
He was placed in a Volusia County prison on bail of $15K.
Well, I probably can't comment on this. What year was this?
This is let's see. Does this have a year? I don't know if it has a year on it actually.
Okay, well, I better be careful on here because that's my jurisdiction. Okay. I might have seen it in first appearances. But interesting factoid, and I've got a list of things, and we're going through them really quick. But New Smyrna Beach is the shark attack capital of the world. We get more shark attacks per year in New Smyrna Beach, which is just south of me, than any other place in the world. And we're mighty proud of that. I must say, I'm very proud of that. We're number one. Proud of that. And I'm going to share you a quick video on that. But
actually, so real quick, you've heard of Shark Week, right?
Oh yeah.
So I know this group of they're guys and girls, and they're actually friends of mine, and they record almost all of the shark footage for Shark Week because, spoiler alert, it's not real, right? So all that there's a surfer out there, or there's a board, or there's somebody swimming, and the shark comes up and attacks. They go out there and film that in Florida. So that is Florida men and women simulating shark attacks.
Sure. Well, we don't need to simulate in Volusia County. I mean, here I'll show you the key. Just to give a little flavor. All right, so I'm going to share the screen again.
And by the way, real quick, thank you, Leprechaun Gold, for the $50 super sticker for the Shiba Inu. Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate all of that in the chat here today. As we get along in super chats, we're at 75 right now. As we hit the hundreds, there may be some shots that are.
And I am monitoring my Rumble rants over here.
Yeah. So if there's anything coming up.
Yes. Okay.
Definitely let me know. But let's see. Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. I can share my screen. Can you see that?
Yes. Here we go.
Okay. So let's just get a little flavor of what New Smyrna Beach. This is New Smyrna Beach.
Yes.
Okay. And this is a drone footage of New Smyrna Beach. So let's just take a look. There's our surfer, just minding his business, looking. There's very good waves in New Smyrna Beach. The inlet's right there, and it's Ponce Inlet on the other side of Ponce Inlet. So let's just take a peek. Oh, there's one. There's two. So just right around him, let's see. There's one there. There's three.
Yep.
See him there?
Yep.
So there's another one, right? Four,
there's
5.
There's
6,
two more.
7.
Oh, there's actually that's a cluster. So yeah.
See, there's 7. You see, so there's 8. There's another one. So here's now, what you
most of them will not do anything to you. You have to be aware that most sharks are fairly harmless.
Well, and here's the point. Look at all those sharks. If they really want to munch on you, they would, like everybody out there, would be getting munched. Okay. The reason that they're there is because the shrimp boats come in through New Smyrna Beach and in Ponce Inlet, and they're cleaning all their stuff out and all the shrimp. And then so there's all this stuff in the water right next door. The water is a little bit murkier. If you go further south, it's like this emerald blue, or the turquoise blue, right? Here it's more of a green, and it's muddy, and the water's churned up. So the sharks can't really see that. They smell stuff. They're all over the place. It's muddy, and there's surfers' legs. And so what they do is they just come up and they just nibble, and they just say, "Is this a fish?" "Oh, nope, not a fish," and they move on. So we don't get deadly shark attacks. What we get is we get foot chomps. So surfer foot chomp is a badge of honor. When you go back to New Smyrna Beach High School, you're a hawk, and you go to Spruce Creek High School, and you got a shark chomp on your leg. That makes you chick friendly. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
There's added incentive to surf at New Smyrna Beach.
Yeah, that's pretty big incentive to go out there surfing.
And yes, sidecar. I can get a sidecar, but it needs to be earned.
Yes, earn those sidecars. So you either gotta buy you gotta buy some books, right?
Buy some books, right?
Answers, yeah, no. I mean, he's got
10 books are $100 in the chats.
You know,
and that's,
you've got a lot of
going back.
Ideas and Answers in the Law. You got I think Summer Friend is out, right? You know, and that's
Summer Friend is out. That's if you want to learn about. Look at here, surfing in Ormond Beach, right there. That's my life. Surfing in Ormond Beach.
Florida Man book.
Florida Man book. Yeah, it's available only at Steve Gosney. Where's my little SteveGosney.com thing?
Oh, you can roll that. Let's see. Can I show that? Let's see. Was it on? Did I not display that in the branding?
I don't know.
Here we go. Boop, boop.
Oh, look. So MLS Law, 1999, a very Florida man.
Put this towards your next sidecar. All right. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
MLS Law. Appreciated for your donating towards the sinking fund to sinking Gosney and I. And I'll drink with Gosney. Anytime Goz drinks, I drink.
And I'll
ride out together. Florida men ride out together. We don't let each other hang. We don't leave each other
especially when
hanging.
it comes to drinking.
Yes.
You don't let your brother Florida man drink. You both go out of the bar, both equally drunk, so that you can cause that. Then that's part of the secret of the Florida man, is that you don't have a buddy to keep you out of trouble. You get drunk together, and then when you hit the town, it's like a mess, right? Mm-hmm. That's what makes it the cascading effect of your buddies, of increasingly idiocy going down into the hole. Now, did you grow up in Florida, in like Orlando?
No. So I think I've explained this to you before, but I will repeat it again. I am a Miami guy. So when Nathan C said, I thought I was going to be the Colombian female, I am very familiar with the Colombian female. Let's just put it that way, right? And the Cubans, right, as well, because the Cubans were there kind of the first, right, of the Latino wave, if you want to call it, in Miami. But I grew up in Miami, Florida, in actual Miami, not Broward County. I'm not like David Hogg or something like that in Yankeeville and Broward, where they say they're from South Florida because they want to seem like they're tough and get like Miami cred, even though they live in some lily white Broward County. By the way, it is no mistake that the whitest area, truly, and people know this in South Florida, the area that's got the most white people in South Florida is also the most liberal area.
Yes.
Right? They vote the most blue. So to me, this whole Latinos are Democrats thing never really stuck.
Not in Florida. Not in Florida.
Not in Florida. And that's why it always kind of jumped out to me going to LA and seeing, oh, that's the stereotype from LA. And they're implying that on South Florida, but that does not stick, because these Venezuelans, these Cubans that have seen actual communism, they're like, no, we do not want that.
I know what you're doing, and I do not do that. No, get out of here, you communists, you know. I mean, these are Venezuelans who got Chavez taken over the country, stolen all their money, kicked them out, prostituted their children, right? And they're like fleeing, heading for the hills, and they come to the capital of Latin America, which is Miami. And then it's like we're in the promised land, and all of a sudden you get somebody in there who wants to say, hey, socialism, you know, communism, Che Guevara, good. And they're like,
yeah, and their kids are wearing a Che hat, Che shirts. You know, they don't even know like exactly what that means. Just, hey, it looks cool, right? He looks cool, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, he like mass murdered a bunch of people. So,
and there is a problem, though. I will say there is a problem with generational loss of that knowledge.
Yes,
and like my son went to school with what he calls Miami Jacob. That's his buddy.
Yes,
Miami Jacob, if you're there. And Miami Jacob was I think he's Puerto Rican. and he went to a private school on one of the islands, in Miami, in Biscayne Bay. And there was a private school on this island. It had like 8 people in his class. And go ahead. Well,
Puerto Rican islands, super rich. Yeah, that guy's gonna wear a Che Guevara shirt. I know those guys.
Well,
I know
he's so sweet and he's such a cute little kid, but he doesn't even know Spanish. It's like, it's like what Spanish? I mean, he's not living the Latin American life, right? I mean, he's privileged. His parents are wealthy, and it's like, so.
Well, and a lot of times they'll tell them, "Oh yeah, don't worry about it." They view it as a class thing. They're like, "Oh well, you need to learn English because that's to be upper class." But I'm like, the value is you knowing both, right? The value is you being bilingual and being fluent in both at a high level. There's a massive value in that, right? Not just you saying, "Hey, I'm going to forget about this and have this." It's like, well, no, just do both, right? Just do it, do it both.
And
I have a lot of respect for that.
Here's something that we're touching on that I want to expand on a little bit. And that is that Florida is very, very big. One of the problems with living in Florida is you can't travel anywhere. You drive for 8 hours and you're still in Florida. And the fact is it's basically a bunch of little countries all cobbled together. Miami is so different from Orlando, is so different from Tampa, is so different from Naples, is different from Daytona and Jacksonville, Pensacola, and everything is so different. And it's all these people cobbled together into a conglomeration. And do you know that the Florida economy is larger than the economy of Russia?
Yes.
So it's like Florida is its world unto itself.
Our population is more than the population of Australia.
And so people don't realize how big the state is.
Yeah.
And when I say diverse, I'm not saying it's such a weird word to use. Let's just say
I hate the word because it's the modern usage of the word, right?
But it is so, I mean, what is Florida? I mean, the locals, like I knew Florida crackers, we have Florida crackers. And they're like the local rednecks that live in, they go in the springs in their airboats and hang out and drink beer. And, there's a little, you got to protect yourself from the alligators. So everybody swims in the same area of the spring or the river. And they get the beer out. But that's like such a small, that's the real Floridian. That's the guy that like really lives in Florida. But everybody else is sort of tacked on like, oh, I live in a condo. I have a condo in Vero. And I'm Florida. That's not. No, you're not.
Or you're a snowbird, or what we call a halfback, right? Remember the halfbacks, halfway down, halfway back, right? So, like those folks, that's not a real Florida man. I'm sorry, you're not born and bred. I was there sitting on the beach, doing all sorts of shenanigans. When I was a young kid, I tell some people because over here, just about everything is legal. And some people wonder, well, Andrew, why don't you have any vices? Because a lot of people are very shocked that, over here in Asia, I can get everything I want. If I want to go, cannabis is legalized, right? Drinking is acceptable, whatever. You can do whatever you want. But people see me and they're like, you're kind of relatively straight edge. I mean, I drink with you guys on the stream, but I really don't drink that much outside of that. This is my drinking outlet, right?
Same here, right?
So a lot of people are like, why are you so straight edge? And I go, because I did that when I was like 14 and 15. You know what I mean? Like I was doing that as a kid, like in high school. So like, I don't feel the need to go out there and drink a lot. I've done that when I was putting Smirnoff Ice in Sprite bottles and bringing it to middle school. Like, I'm good, like your boy Legal Mindset has been there and done that.
And see, I'm married, so I can't talk about any of the stuff that I might have not done.
Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Like what is it? Odyssey?
Yeah. The crazy. Listen. We went to the beach for 2 reasons. It was either there was yeah.
And I'll tell you the quality.
The invention of the lap dance is in Montana, Tampa, Florida.
Forget what they're doing. I'm just telling you that the quality. Now I can't testify to recent events.
Yeah, because recently I think that with the advent, unfortunately, of a lot of the online industries, OnlyFans
and donuts.
A lot of people have fallen in donuts, right? So the quality may have fallen, or the talent may be more lacking. However, used to be premium over there,
world class,
good old Tampa.
Well, I will tell you, I have a story about a friend of mine
Okay, before you do the story, let's do some super chats real quick. So $20 from Leprechaun Gold who says Sharknado times. Yes, absolutely.
Well, that's $40. We're 40 in, you know.
Yeah, no, well, hold on. We got a lot here. So Debbie says, I stopped drinking altogether, so no need to put this towards drinks. Okay, won't count it. Won't count it. Okay, hi from both you and Palm Harbor. What's up, Debbie? Yeah, once again, everything in moderation. I try to keep everything to this stream, you know. Squid says, try Christmas. I feel like Florida Man Crazy might be extra on my birthday. Your birthday is Christmas.
He needs a shout out just for having a birthday on Christmas. Is your birthday really on a leap day?
No. That's not my birthday. That was just somebody suggested that.
You get birthday once every 4 years, you know?
Well, I think you officially have to. Yeah, you gotta have somebody. You gotta have something like on the 28th. I'm sorry, that's just not. It's not right.
Dr. Ew had a summer job at Pure Platinum in high school. See, that's very Florida man.
Very Florida man. Florida man birthday, December 25th. Florida man seriously injured someone for listening to loud music in Boca Raton, mouth of the rat. A Florida man shot and seriously injured a man for listening to loud music. The shooter was captured by the victim's relatives. When deputies arrived on the scene, the man was arrested. The victim was taken to the hospital. It happened on Christmas Eve. Zachary Moncada started yelling at another man for listening to loud music. The argument broke out. It seemed innocent, but did not end well. Moncada, so it was probably a Noche Buena party. For those who don't know about Noche Buena, it means good night. There is a party on the evening of Christmas, and that is when everybody gets lit. Not on actual Christmas.
See, I do have lots of Florida man stories. I've got 3 lined up here ready to tell. So it's your show.
Oh, okay. Well, Steve C dropped another 20, and he said, "Stop with the birthdays minus January 6th." Okay,
so we're at 60 now. We're at 60. So
we're at 60. We're at 60, and we'll get the quick story here. Which this one looks good. Florida man arrested for assaulting law enforcement during Capitol
That's not Florida
rebellion. See, this is the thing. Just because they're from Florida, it's got to be the story's got to be in Florida. You know,
that doesn't count, and that's not Florida man. That's all. We're not talking about all that stupidity and out there. Those people are insane in DC. We're like at least entertaining and rational down here in Florida.
Fun. It's like it's fun.
It's all in good fun. Even though we do major time for what we do, we're creative in our crime. Yeah. Well, so I had a friend named Harry.
Go ahead.
Well, maybe I shouldn't use his name. Well, he won't know. I'll use his
name. One name, the first name, not last name. You know, you're good.
And he had a divorce, and he's not a wealthy guy. He's not a wealthy guy at all. He's a hardworking guy, and he just decided to just dive in. And he spent so much money at Mons Venus. He says he spent like $15,000 in a month at Mons Venus.
Oh my God.
And he just said, oh, it's a big scale. He just dove he dove in and see, that's what Florida men sometimes do. They just go off the rails, just dove in. He's been clean living ever since, but the opportunity, the weakness was there and the vice was there. He dove in, and a month later he came up and he was poor, and those beautiful young ladies just robbed him of every penny that he had.
Mm-hmm.
Sad. Mm-hmm. And I had a guy who worked in a music store. I used to sell guitars. There's my Strat over here. In fact, I bought that from the store I worked at. And I had a guy named Chainsaw I used to work with. And Chainsaw was a really cool guy. He used to work in the porno shop up the street. So, there is, like, people think that it's all.
I love you said that casually. No, but I remember back when there were the video stores, like the XXX tape stores. There's like some sketchy one. Luckily, it's almost fortunate. Like the internet has gotten rid of those things.
It has. Well, and I have more Florida man because my boss, when I was at the prosecutor's office, a guy named John Tanner. Do you know who John Tanner is? He got known for familiar. Renting the pornography tapes and having people fill out that it violates their community standards. He was our state attorney.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then he lost the election because we want our porno videotapes up in operation. We don't want that. So he got booted. And then, of course, he came back. He's very, very fundamentalist, and he would do this. So he was my boss. He's my buddy. And he got in trouble for going after porn in Ormond Beach, Florida. And I knew the video store owner too. It was a guy named Barry Freilich was his name. And it was quite a controversy. It went right up the thing. Get ACLU got involved. It was all, and of course we also in Volusia County had Bob Vogel, who used to stop all the cars that were like two Mexicans that were like low riding. The trunk is full. They're going 80 miles an hour going north on 95. You know, and they'd stop them. They'd say, "Hey, you know, you got $300,000 in cash stuff behind these seats. Like,
right?
We know nothing about it. You know, okay, well here I'll give you a receipt. No receipt."
Well, there's a dividing line in Florida because there's a line below which in South Florida, which I never, like growing up, I knew zero Mexicans, right? Mm-hmm. So like there's a point at which it's like, okay, in this zone, I know zero Mexicans, but then to go down to Homestead or go up to Clewiston with the tomatoes and the, you know, the big debate with like Wendy's, they had the whole fight over the ketchup, right? They'd increase the like price because for like by a penny because they had to pay the workers more or something like that. Like, so I grew up not knowing any Mexicans. So like, it's always funny to me, like the parts of Florida where they exist and don't exist. You know, yes, I knew I was muted there for a second. Okay. A lot of super chats. So we're going to get all these. Steve C says, it's not the mosquitoes around me. It's the damn no-see-ums. Yes. Those are a big issue.
Although they also plan together and they go after particular people. They plot. And I will say the Mexicans are the people that are working out there. I mean, let's face it, Florida man's out there being an idiot. The Mexicans are the ones that are hard working, you know?
They're working hard. I'm not knocking it. They're working hard, right? Mm-hmm. Crypt Keeper VT says, in Alabama, you hear banjos. What do you hear in Florida? Need to know in case I visit or move to Florida. I think it depends on what type of Florida. But if you're South Florida, yeah, you might hear a little salsa. You know, you might hear a little salsa. I think maybe Pitbull, maybe a little reggaeton. You know,
Pitbull. Yeah. See, there's so many varieties of Florida man. Yeah. That's what we have. Interesting. But I would say
it's segmented.
It's segmented. You know, if you're in like the Ocala National Forest and you hear somebody with a like that on their car, I would like not want to interact with those people. I'd probably go the other direction. Just try to avoid that person.
Probably in the Ocala National Forest. Yeah.
Ocala National Forest, you know, if you're hiking too far, too late, you know, there's people that like to hide out in there. So I'm just telling you, be careful. It's beautiful and I like hiking, but there's areas you want to avoid. Fair enough?
That is definitely not just fair. That is definitely true. Is this live for Canadian 5? See, I got you. Is it live? I go in order. Size matters. So what are you saying? What you're saying here is that there are Miami Vice suits in your closet. Crockett or Tubbs?
Well, definitely Crockett here.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh, I had the white suit. I had a white suit. I had white patent leather shoes, and I had a.
I will definitely take Ricardo Tubbs. No problem. No problem at all.
Okay, I'll be your Crockett to your Tubbs.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I will do the brown face, guys. We got to be accurate here. Come on, we got to be accurate. 200 Watt Studio says, guys, I need a lawyer in Florida that knows rent laws. There are a lot of them. You can Google
a lot of them. I used to do that. I used to do landlord-tenant law.
You know, the few times when I was in Florida and I was there physically, which I will definitely not do this now that I'm not there physically, but the few times I got involved in landlord-tenant cases, I regretted it. And it was like always my buddies, and they're like, help me with this. I 100% regretted dealing with the situation because it's just such an annoying situation to deal with.
Really? I always kind of liked landlord-tenant law.
No, I like the law, but dealing with the practical fallout of the case was annoying to me.
I actually wrote an article on this.
Really?
Yes. One of the first articles I wrote was that in the statute in Florida, Florida likes to copy other people's statutes. And so we copied a lot of our landlord-tenant law. Well, of course, there's certain requirements that the landlord is required to maintain in your dwelling unit. And
yes, got to be inhabitable,
plumbing, inhabitable, and you got to have heat. But it does not include on that list air conditioning, which is ridiculous. So I'm like, and my article was, that's ridiculous. It should include air conditioning because Florida is uninhabitable without air conditioning. We could do without heat, but you got to have AC.
And you know what? Other states mandate that, by the way. They make sure it is per se inhabitable in, for example, Arizona to not have heat. So like it deems the entire unit uninhabitable. Now, I think you can make an argument for it. I know it's not in the statute, but I think you can make a damn good argument that a unit is uninhabitable based on the case law definition of what is uninhabitable.
Except
right?
you get hard ass judges who want to strictly construe the law,
I know,
and it's not specifically listed, so it should be. And that was my article. I wrote the letter to the Florida bar, thinking they might actually pick up. Of course, silly me.
Of course, very true disclaimer here from Rabbit. This channel does not give legal, medical, or any advice. It's just for educational entertainment only. Yes, just fun. Two Florida men having fun. Speaking of fun, we got some rumbles and some locals. So I think we've hit our first drink with all these together. Patrick Kennedy sent 2 for $10, so it's $20 over here on locals, which says, I made an explosive fart bomb. Thank you very much for that. It also sent to 10, which says, happy birthday, button up. Okay, my buttons are all the way up, and it is not my birthday today, but it is somebody's birthday in Florida. Like it's always somebody's birthday. And then we have a Rumble rant here.
All right, Rumble.
From Raunchers, who says, Smirnoff in middle school, shaking my head. I used to make screwdrivers every night for school the next day. That is good. You're just there drinking your orange juice, you know? You're just in Florida drinking orange juice and just happens to have a little vodka in it, you know?
Now, here's the thing. Don't come to Florida and buy orange juice from Publix and think you're getting Florida orange juice. Okay, that's the same packaged orange juice you can get anywhere. To get real orange juice, you got to pick them and squeeze them. And that
is the real, like 100%. Because if you see it nowadays, you even read on a lot of that's advertised as Florida orange juice. You actually look at the back and you see the sources. A lot of times they'll say oranges from US and Brazil, right? So you'll see that it's a blend, like they're blending multiple oranges, and they're just using, this is like the finishing with cars and other stuff like that. In order to say made in America, all they got to do is like snap it together or assemble it in America. It's like, well, there's just enough oranges in this to say it's Florida orange juice, right? Without it being 100% Florida orange.
And real pure squeezed orange juice is smooth. It's not acidic. It's amazing. In fact, you'll drink too much of it and then hurt yourself.
It's a noble fruit. It's a noble fruit.
It
is a gentleman's fruit.
We have noble fruits that occupy the I-4 and Orange Blossom Trail area.
Oh, we have many fruits, many different types of fruits. Some of them wear dresses and will be going all the way down the Cinderella Castle.
Boy, there's so many. The OBT, that's a whole nother conversation.
Okay. We'll start with OBT. Somebody did send this on locals. This is a fun one. But it's comparing yourself to a shark, which is me, exists, can't pass biology class, eats fish, lives on Earth, can't do 30 push-ups, swims, rarely interacts with others. Shark exists, can't pass biology, eats fish, lives on Earth, can't do 30 push-ups, swims, rarely interacts with others. You know, something of a shark myself.
Oh, yeah, very good. See,
I like it. Very good over there on locals. Legal mindset.
Florida men do not fear sharks because they're all over the place. It's just one of those things. And if you get bitten, it makes you more attractive to the chicks. And we don't have the killer man-eater sharks generally. It's such and the thing is if you're really afraid of sharks, don't go in the ocean. I mean, it's like pretty simple. So if you're coming to Florida, you don't go in the ocean. You don't need to worry about the sharks.
No,
isn't that obvious? But I don't
know.
And
if you don't go in the random ponds, you will not have a problem with, especially stormwater ponds. A lot of people actually, this is a big thing, especially in South Florida. A lot of people go swimming in these stormwater ponds. Now, what is a stormwater pond? You know, you have like a highway or a road, and you see right next to where the road is, there's a little pond, and it's not really connected to anything. It looks like maybe there's a pipe coming out into it, which we'll call culvert or something, right? Coming out into it. It's essentially for the runoff from the roads and everything else. So people think those are safe in a weird way, even though they're nasty because they got a bunch of runoff and other stuff in them coming down. And they'll go to swim in them or play in them, and they'll end up getting attacked by an alligator or bitten by a snake because they forget that these alligators will crawl over land, particularly at night. They'll travel over land to get to a pond because they want to be kind of the biggest, big daddy in that pond. So there would be big daddy gator in that pond.
Right.
In that stormwater pond. That's how they end up in people's, pools and stuff like that, because they just want to be on their own, just the king of that territory.
And gators don't see us humans as, except for New Yorkers, but they don't see us humans as prey. They eat fish, and like we're not fish, so they know that, and so they play the golf course, and you watch them go across, and you hit around them, right? So it's not a problem. Gators are generally pretty friendly,
but a gator's brain is very simple. It's the size of a pea, and it's really only got 3 modes, right? It's got feed, I eat, it's got sleep, and it's got sex. So it's really only got the thing, and they're not trying to have sex with you. So if they're coming towards you, it's because they see that there's potential for the feeding aspect, right?
But it's almost always people walking their dogs. That is the deal. And except if you've been out in the middle of the Tomoka Basin with a dog in your canoe, the little eyes will pop up, and they pop up over here, and they get closer, they click closer, like they're wanting to chomp your little Fifi. There's no question. They love dogs. That's like their prime target. And
it's
so
prime meat
in their way,
it's good size.
Yeah, it's bite size. So
one bite. It's like a 1-bite brownie.
I have another. I don't know. We got so many topics here. I have another good topic that people don't realize, and that's the drivers versus pedestrian issue. See, we don't feel that pedestrians have the right of way, even though legally they may. That is optional for the Florida driver, because you just the thing is if you're driving on I-4 and you're going 85 bumper to bumper, and somebody happens to be on the side of the road, there ain't no stopping on I-4, nor any other road in Florida. Pedestrians are an afterthought in Florida, and pedestrians, you just need to understand this. And it's a Florida mindset, because when you get in that car and you're flying around and you don't pay attention to pedestrians. Even if they're walking across in front of you, you just keep moving. Is this fair?
It's unseen. They are pedestrians are very much like invisible almost. They're not. It's not set up for. Florida is not set up for pedestrians very well at all whatsoever. Even the areas that endeavor to do so, like in Miami, when I would take the Metro Rail, the Metro Mover, it's funny, the roads leading up to that, it's like not very well connected for you to get there, right? So it's not like it's made for a bunch of people to walk to these places. It's often very inconvenient for you to get to and from the very little public transit there is, right?
And Florida, man, and see, this is the reason that Morgan & Morgan started in Florida, and Central Florida specifically, is because of this very Florida man predilection, which is to, if he dies, he dies, right? So it's like we just roll. And here's the reason.
Well, and we were the last frontier state. That's the thing people don't realize. We were the very last one that was especially of the continental U.S., right? And not counting Alaska, which is, more Russia almost than the U.S. But it is 100% the last one that was developed, because we had places in Florida that until the 1940s, until the invention of air conditioning, people were just like, we're not going there. We're not living here, right? We're not actually moving there. But then air conditioning came along, and we're like, hey, it's pretty nice. Weather's pretty warm.
With air conditioning. With air conditioning, everything works.
Durna says, it rains in Florida. Puddles already have gators in them. Very true.
Right. That's true. Gators are all over the place. And the only thing, and when you think is, you say, well, somebody are suggesting, well, just stay away from water. But see, that doesn't work too. And there was another mention that we also have something called the dreaded fire ant. And when I was in elementary school, they'd say, okay, now go and play in the playground. And the playgrounds were nothing but mounds of fire ants and stickers. And so it's like the sticker, and then what you do is you pick the stickers, and you go to your enemy and you whip them onto the back, and they go like this. Did you have this kind of fun when you were
playing? Yeah. The absolute the plants that would stick, right? So those are all over the place.
Quite sharp and painful.
Super painful to remove. Like you would accidentally get one on your sock, for example, and you'd reach down because you feel something, and then you get essentially you're bleeding in a second, right? Yes. Because you're holding this super painful shrub. The environment of Florida did not want people there. It was you know what, kind of fuck you. Which is something I will say very much
and fire ants and stickers are pain livers, but people also don't understand the size of the cockroaches that tend
palmetto bugs. We call them palmetto bugs.
That's the gentle way of saying it.
The gentlemen's.
We have all kinds of varieties of them. And that's my. I'd go rather.
And they're
with
flying.
fire. They fly. Yes, there's flying varieties. Those are the worst. When you're like going after them, you're trying to stomp them or get rid of it, and then it like pulls its wings out, and goes, like then it free. You dive.
And it's actually the technical name Palmetto is a nice one, but the actual real technical name is the Florida woods cockroach.
Okay.
So
those
it is definitely.
But they stink. You squish them and they have that stink. Yeah.
Lots of different variations, right? We've obviously got the standard American, but they all find Florida quite hospitable. We've got another couple chats and locals, which is awesome. I think we're up to the first drink, but let me get all these first. Leprechaun Gold sends a $4 super sticker. Thank you so much for the Shiba. And then Jim, since 1999, says, if you want fresh squeezed orange juice and lemonade or orange sherbet made from fresh oranges in Florida, the place to go is the Orange Juice Factory. Yes. There are several in major cities run by the Indian River Citrus Company. Yes.
Jim knows what he's talking about.
Very good recommendation. Jim is he's in the Bay Area, right? So he's in the Tampa Bay area.
But he's one brother. He's a brother.
Yes, he's definitely a brother. He's definitely a brother, Florida man. He's got a boat, so that's pretty much very much Florida.
So does that, because if you want, I need to go get I think I'm going to go with a glass of wine since it's because I'm drinking with you, and my rants and my rumblers and YouTubers, they're not big donators, but I will drink with you. So I think I'm going to go with wine. Is that okay?
And this is the one that put us over the top, which was the Gator for $5 from Locals, which says he always gets so excited when I take him to the dog park.
Oh, he's cute.
That could not be more. Yeah, exactly. I actually think this is cute. Like, I actually think this Gator is cute. And I've seen people with their emotional support Gator, right? Yes. It is absolutely a thing.
Well, Crockett had a Gator on his boat. Remember that?
Yeah. That's very true.
All right, well, let me just you
take a second. You take a second here as I go around to Rumble and everybody else. Well, so what's up to everybody on Rumble? Make sure you guys have smashed the pussy right for this today. If you like this sort of content, if you enjoy this sort of thing, make sure you smash the pussy as I get my whiskey from the back, the whiskey in the jarro to go at this. And appreciate all those that are joining on Locals and YouTube. Gonna have many more streams for you this week. Kind of gonna go hard on the streams this week, so stay tuned for all of that. Let's see here. The Orange Juicy Factory, right next to the Cheesecake Factory. Appreciate that. And appreciate all you guys who are joining here today, all the members. Hopefully you enjoy those new emojis as well. You can drop those rats, those lives in the chat, and I will get them because we are indeed still live. Let's see. Do y'all yards have STDs? This is from somebody over here on Locals. Right, so you obviously see the crabs. Yes, I actually had multiple crabs growing up. Now, they're not the ones you can use as shampoo to get out. A shampoo will not remove these. But these are definitely very common in Florida. In fact, once I caught one and raised it and then ate it. So there's nothing more Florida man than catching something, raising it, eating it for the purpose of eating. It's absolutely great. Andrew, had crabs, confirmed. Yes. Are they tasty? Yeah, it was tasty after you fed it. If you eat it straight out, you got to be careful because crabs can be kind of trash feeders. So you got to be very, very careful with that. Let's see. People are shocked, like, ooh, Steve's gonna imbibe. Yes. The naughty Steve. Oh, you're muted.
There we go. So this is the lightweight stuff we have.
Adolf. Oh, yes, I know that. The Adolf Mueller. Yes.
There it is. Can we see that?
It's the kind of. Let me see. Guys, zoom in. Pizza Porter, Mitzelberg, Riesling, Ausles. Yeah.
Very good. So this is very sweet. It's almost a dessert.
Oh, it's very sweet. Yeah, it's very sweet. It's very sweet. It's
excellent. This is the best stuff. About $20 a bottle, but not too bad.
No, it's all right. And I'm just going straight. I'm going in true classy Florida man versus trashy Florida man. I'm just swigging straight from the bottle here of whiskey. So we are just going straight from the head because I don't even have shot glasses right now. I got like paper cups in here. So hey guys, cheers. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much. Appreciate your support of the channel. All 391 of you watching on mine, all 10 of you over there on Steve's channels. Appreciate all of you. Cheers.
Oh, this is so good. Oh, Christine Blair, she says it's my favorite German wine. Cheers to you, Christine. There's one for you.
It's quite good.
Very good. Well, so let's take a step back again and discuss one of the problems with Florida Man is that there's
problems.
There's no such thing as Florida Man. You see, it's a conglomeration.
What?
See, this is the secret.
You're telling them the secret.
I know, because we have let's just count the content here. We have Cubans, Haitians, Venezuelans, Mexicans, Colombians. We have
Canadians,
rednecks, Canadians, New Yorkers, Jewish people. We've got young people, old blue hair retired
Southerners,
Georgia NASCAR fans that come down to Daytona vacation. And here's what happens. You put all of these people in their favorite car and they're listening to radio and they're watching NASCAR and they get on I-4 and they got work trucks mixed in amongst them. And everyone has their own agenda and they're all going, "Rrr," and you're either an idiot or a maniac. And because depending on relatives, what your space is. So everybody is in this crazy conglomeration. Nobody agrees on anything. So you get the lowest common denominator from everybody. That's why there is no such thing. And then we have a sunshine law and it exposes the worst of all of us. The sunshine law comes in and shines a bright light on all of our idiots.
On literally everything, to the point where you've got the Florida Man headline generator where you can just generate a headline because it's all public. Florida man calls 911 to check on his tax return, right? Florida man escapes adult novelty store in helicopter with $300 Jenna Jameson doll tow.
Right.
You know, Florida man covered in pizza, arrested for pizza battery after pizza dispute.
Oh, I have a story there. You know about my
Florida man makes beer run with gator in hand. This is actually tame. This is like, what's the problem here? Like, I don't even see the problem with that one, you know.
Well, one of my most famous cases that I prosecuted in Flagler County was the Florida man calzone attack. Are you familiar with the Goomba's Pizzeria calzone attack?
I think I may have heard of this, but go ahead and tell the story for the purposes of everybody out there.
Yes,
in the audience.
Yeah. So if you just look up Goomba's Pizzeria, Flagler County calzone crime, and it was on World's Dumbest Criminals. That was my case. I prosecuted. He was a mob hitman from New York who was in the witness protection program, who had killed at least 3 people, and he was running a pizza joint in Flagler County called Goomba's. Of course, that's good undercover operation, I'm sure. And a Florida man came into the place with his mullet and his redneck hat, and he's like, he had requested no cheese on his calzone. Now I'm not sure exactly. I'm not sure how you
commie bullshit is that. No, I was like, what the hell is that? Where the hell are we? No cheese for you.
No cheese. And when he didn't get it, he came back to the store and wanted them to start the ovens up and restart it. He's like, look, I don't respect you. I'll give you money back, right? The guy's like, no, I want my calzone without the cheese. And so he says, you don't know who you're talking to, right? You don't know who you're talking to. So he pulls out a gun and pistol whips the guy over the counter. And Florida man wrestles him and throws him onto the ground. They take the guy's gun and they flee. And they go, and the mob hitman calls the police, and the rednecks call the police, and they both respond to different crime scenes. And they figure out, hey, we got the same thing going on here.
We got the same guys here. Yeah.
But see, this is the problem. See, New Yorkers think they know.
We got them, boys.
They think they know what they're dealing with. They come to Florida. And this mob hitman, he's from New York. He doesn't understand. He had hired a hot young thing to be his waitress, some 17-year-old hot chick to be the waitress.
Which is always good marketing. I mean, good marketing. Yeah.
But then he tells her, turn off the security cameras.
Oh, no.
Okay. And so when the police officer arrives at the place, he's like, oh, I see you got a security system. He's like, oh, yeah, but it was off, right? And then he says, oh, no. The monitor's off, but the system's still on. Because the Florida woman didn't turn off the computer. She turned off the monitor.
Oh, you gotta understand.
See, this is a
Florida woman's got her looks, but not necessarily those brain cells. She's been doing too many whippets in Punta Gorda, and I'm just telling you guys. Dark Lotus says for $9.99. Cheers, Florida man. Hey, cheers to you, Dark Lotus. Cheers to all you guys out there. Thank you so much for being great supporters of both of myself and Stephen Gosney. You guys absolutely make this possible. It makes it possible for us to do this on a regular basis. Just have fun, kick back. And I think it's important to do this every once in a while. Just have fun, kick back, relax.
And we're going to invite Peter Tragos from the lawyer,
Yeah,
but
we'll try to do another one. We'll try to recruit him in.
We'll recruit him in. Of course, I'd say we got to get the maximum debauchery in this stream, because when Peter comes on, we're going to be. We have
to be kosher. I'll be like, okay, that one time I went to church, it's going to be, it's going to be all right there. Darius writes us, listen to you guys. I just realized that everything bad Florida has, Louisiana has them all in spades. Thanks for all the great legal content. I think there's a lot of similarities between Louisiana and Florida. I mean, in terms of, but I think the population is the big difference, right? So you have that
immigration. Nobody's moving to Louisiana.
Correct. You have a Francophone history versus the Spanish history, right? So if you take the difference between those, I think that makes a lot of the difference. Also, Louisiana far more developed for a long period of its time than Florida, frankly. There were folks in New Orleans since the start of the country, even before the country. Right. Of course, now they're not there. They weren't there as long as the oldest continuously occupied city in the United States,
which is St. Augustine.
My
favorite cities, and I love St. Augustine. And if you want to check out gators, real gators, don't go see the audio animatronic gators at Disney World. That's garbage. Oh, look, it's got a gator mouth. It's stupid. Go to the St. Augustine Alligator Farm. That is good. That is a cool place. That's a Florida man kind of place.
Yes, that is a real Florida type of place. Dehako says, any stories on hunting alligators for their meat? Well, you can do it. You can hunt alligators. You do have to have a special permit, though. You can't just go out there and willy-nilly hunt. Hunting is pretty regulated. I grew up hunting. I hunted dove, duck, boar, and small game. In Florida, I had one of my dad's friends hunted. He did hunt gator, but he also hunted coon as well. So I tried.
Did you ever eat possum?
Yes, and possum.
Did you eat possum?
He didn't tell me, Steve.
Okay.
So he's like,
if you eat possum,
he's like, here, try this. And I'm like,
this is fritter.
What is this? And I eat it. And he's like, it's possum. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I'm gonna have herpetosyphilades, it's gonna be dead forever. I'm like, gonorrhea, what all the diseases, it's going to be everything in the possum. But no, it was fine. And the meat actually tasted good.
Really? Because I've heard, because if you eat possum, you're automatically in as Florida man, as far as I'm concerned. That's the gatekeeper. It's like balut in Philippines. Eat your possum.
No. I will never. I'm sorry. I don't care. I'm going to the Philippines very shortly, but I will not have balut. I'm sorry.
Oh, come on. You got to imbibe.
No,
make the Filipinos happy.
That's not imbibe. That's just.
Well,
yeah. I bridge too far for me. Balut's a bridge too far. I've eaten a lot of things, and balut is a bridge too far.
So anybody knows in the chat, that's embryonic duck egg.
Yeah. So no, but it's fertilized, right? So you've got an actual chick in there. So you're biting into the partially developed or almost fully developed sometimes. Got feathers and everything. The chick. Yeah, that's not for me.
But you put a little vinegar and a little salt on it.
Yeah.
But possum, I've heard, is quite the acquired taste.
Yeah. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but I'm definitely not. I definitely thought about it a lot after I ate it.
Well, here's another topic that we need to discuss, because I've got a list of things, and that is hurricanes.
Okay. Yeah. Hurricanes. Very serious.
Very serious topic. We're not making light of any deaths that may have occurred from trees falling on people while they're walking their dogs.
Yes.
I'm not making fun of those people.
Or people who don't take it seriously, because see, the thing is, I went to a lot of hurricane parties. I had a lot of fun.
Whoops. Frozen. Are we frozen? Am I frozen or are you frozen?
Oh, are we frozen? Am I good? Am I good?
Up, you're good now.
Okay, weird. Might have been because we're streaming to so many places. Yeah, weird. Anyways, I went to a lot of hurricane parties, but the reason we are able to party during hurricanes is because we're prepared, right?
Yes.
So we have the supplies, we have everything else, we know what's it. The problem is a lot of people aren't prepared and they don't take it seriously, right?
Right. Well, here's a couple options just for anybody. First of all, you can usually see them coming. I'm just saying, usually. They usually don't come out of nowhere. All right. Second thing,
hurricanes don't come out of nowhere. You get at least 24 hours now. Now, hold on. We all live with that cone of probability.
Right.
And a good Florida man knows that cone of probability is some bullshit.
Yes.
Right?
And also, Florida man also knows that the cone of probability is maximally directed to cause panic in Florida.
Yes.
Especially South Florida. And also, storms don't become worrisome until they become the most important thing in the world, when it becomes a Cat 1, right? Oh my God, it's a hurricane. Now it's time to panic, run for the hill. Cat 1s and Cat 3s.
Yes. A Cat 1 is essentially a
everyday
storm.
It's essentially every day in Central Florida. Every day Central Florida thunderstorms.
You're not wrong. And actually, that actually answers the question here. Patrick Kennedy, who says, can we talk about the sudden downpours that you can set your clock to? I have only seen that happen in Florida. Those happen because the heat rises over the swamp, over the Everglades. And as the heat rises, it moves out over the Everglades and over the cities. And it happens at a very predictable time, the hottest time of the day, which is, despite what people think, it is not noon. It is actually 3 p.m. So a lot of those are afternoon showers. So they happen around the afternoon.
Right. What the center of the state heats up, it sucks in the air from the oceans into the center of the state because heat rises and the heat's sucking up in the middle of the state. The air comes in from the coast and then it clashes into the middle of the state and goes up like this. And so that clash of humid air causes lines of thunderstorms that then start in the middle of the state and then travel. So that we call afternoon thunder showers. It's a very predictable kind of thing. And it makes me happy. I will say, as a Florida boy, I used to sit and watch the lightning out of my, I love storms. Thunder, rain makes me happy. And that's a Florida man quality. And hurricanes are just, a Cat 1 hurricane is really, unless you're directly in the, like if you're in the Keys on a houseboat.
Or if you're in a boat, or if you're in a county that does not have a building standard, which is very few now, right?
Mobile home parks, low-lying areas. Once again,
don't have much of those in South Florida or Central Florida, right? There's some, but I mean, there's not a lot, right? But unless you're in those, you're going to be fine, because most counties now have the building standard where you've got to have rebar, concrete block, reinforced housing. So that's not budging for a Category 1 hurricane. You might have a random window busted out, or your car might be a little nicked up or something like that. If you leave something outside, it might be thrown around, but you're probably going to be fine. Now, Category 3s, 4s, 5s, yeah, we don't fuck with those.
And right? Here's what, and you see those coming, you're like, okay, that's going to be strong, and they're pretty good at prediction. And here's your two options as a Florida man. I'm on the coast. I'm in Daytona Beach, which is actually, another dirty secret for Daytona people know is that hurricanes don't really hit Daytona.
It's very rare. Miami is much more high probability than Daytona.
But that's because we know what historical tracks, and we know the way hurricanes operate. But let's just say that I'm worried about a hurricane and I'm in Florida. And I see it coming, and it's a big one. All right. So you have two options. In fact, Prepare talks about one of the options about preparing for a hurricane. If you want to learn about how to prepare for a hurricane, there's a chapter on that in Prepare. And then you can listen to the radio, get your batteries out, get cases of water, get ready to be without air conditioning for 10 days, which sucks. And then listen to the radio as you hover and chill and panic in recoil. Or you can call the Swan Hotel at Disney, or get your friend and then just go over to Disney and stay in the hotel while the hurricane blows through, and then drive back and you're happy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do that. They go to Orlando, stay in a hotel. And I would do that, by the way, sometimes. But I'd also get on a plane sometimes and say, you know what? I'm heading up. I'm heading out to Vegas or something like that.
Right. And then you come back and it's all done and everybody's cleaned up.
Done.
And
everything's cleaned up.
DeSantis and the FPL, all those trucks lined up to come repair the thing. They come zooming in and you're driving back in and the trucks are going the other direction because their job's
staged.
Finished. Yeah. They're staged and everything's cool. You can just go to the other.
Florida's very well with staging, with preparing. They know what they need. They know what the resources are. And they know what's going to happen. It's very predictable with the power going out. The power companies are like, yep, here's where the power is going to go out. Here's where it's going to go up. They've often got it, I will say, from when I was a kid to now to later on, the last ones, they've gotten better about getting the power up quickly. When I was a kid, I did go without power sometimes for several weeks.
Yeah, the worst I've done was 10 days in Daytona. But people ask I did mention the rat, and I know that I'm on the anti-rat zone here. But let's just say that
this is the rats in the chat. For those that have the thing, rats in the chat.
But I will say that when my son was first born, we had the 3 hurricanes, including Charlie, which was the one that was the worst. And my mom, she just called up the Swan Hotel, and we did that, and we stayed there for a week, hanging out at the Swan, and the power never went down. Disney's building codes are actually very high. The place is built like an armory. They lower all the water because the district has management of the sewer, so they lower the water. The park was only closed for half a day because they're losing money when that park's not open. So they put up all their employees in the hotels. It was quite impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So I was going to pour myself another drink, but I see we've been behind. People haven't been donating to the Florida Man.
Oh, no. Oh well, there's a lot right here that are backed up. I just been getting into them right now. Mark Reality says for 5, sworn to secrecy, but for the Sunshine Clause, the state constitution making a lot of stuff public record. I have so many good Florida Man stories, and this is what I like. I like Sunshine Law. Sunshine Law is a good thing, guys. It's Absolutely. Not a bad thing.
No, love it.
We need more of that. In fact, we need more transparency and openness. So thank you very much for that, Mark of Reality. I also want to get this $5 on locals from Patrick Kennedy that says, say cone of uncertainty one more time. Yeah, it's cone of uncertainty, not cone of certainty. So thank you for that, my friend Patrick.
Better than the cone of silence.
Yes. Jackals of Terra Argentum says, one of the things I learned when I moved to Miami was to pay attention to old Cubans and Afro Islanders and rednecks before a hurricane. If they're nervous, be nervous too. If no,
that's right.
Enjoy the show. Yes, very true. If the old abuelo and abuelito, if they're out there and they're just chilling, they're playing dominoes, they're not worried about it, don't worry about it. You're going to be fine.
The media loves to panic people, and they love it. And it's all the New Yorkers in their condos who are like, "Oh dear, there's a hurricane."
Their first hurricane. They're like,
gotta go pile stock up. What do I do? Listen to the radio. They say, don't leave this radio. You got to keep tuned in to every minute of our thing. Yeah, it's such a scam.
They go buy like frozen foods and milk, and I'm like, oh god, okay, yeah, and you're gonna last a long time.
Lily Smith. Peter Pan is your friend.
Yes.
Peter Pan peanut butter
is a good friend. It's a good friend.
It's a good friend.
I love storms too, Steve. The worse they get, the happier it makes me. Makes me feel safe for some reason. Maybe because no bad guy will be out there in a storm. I actually love one of the best feelings I love personally. This is just like it's very Kino, for me, it feels great. There's an electric feeling about it, is to be on a front porch, particularly in a rainstorm. There's nothing like the feeling in the air, the electricity in the air. Maybe it's because there's literal electricity in the air from the lightning and stuff. But it's just a great feeling. It's very relaxing for me. Very calming.
It's coming. You could look on the radar and see that line of like it's red and then it's
squall line,
purple, and it's coming and it's going to be there in like 5 minutes. And so you get your wine, you go out on your screened-in porch, you sit down, and it's dark, and you just see the flashes coming in and the rolling rumbles. And it just hits you, and you're just enjoying it. The screen is so wonderful. That blast of air, because there's a wall of cold air that'll hit you first, because that thunderstorm, all that rain is pushing the air out from underneath it.
And I will agree with you, Terra Argentum. I will maintain to my dying day that what FPL did during Katrina and Wilma was criminal negligence on a level that should have resulted in prison terms. I agree. So I was in Miami, and this is actually so ironically. Katrina and Wilma were the longest times power was knocked out. So he actually has called it out. people don't remember that Katrina hit Miami first. So
Right.
I was at a hurricane party at my friend's house, and actually I did slightly underestimate Katrina. Katrina did a lot of damage in terms of downed power lines and lost power in South Florida. So we were out for a super long time, disproportionate with the strength of the hurricane when it hit Miami, because it was only a category 1 or 2 when it hit Miami, and then it charged up in the Gulf. So because the Gulf water is so much warmer, and warmer water is like a supercharger for hurricanes. So it charged up, powered up, and then curved up into New Orleans. So, but we were out of power. So actually, while New Orleans was being hit, we still didn't have power in Florida, in Miami at least. We did not have power. So yeah, that was real bad. And I actually, for Wilma, I ended up leaving. And I remember my mom got mad at me because she's like, "You're abandoning us." I'm like, FPL fucked up for Katrina. I'm not going to be around when they do it again.
I do think they have improved. And a lot of
they have improved.
And you know, DeSantis, people know my position on the death penalty.
Yes.
And I think
issue by issue, right?
You know, I don't like his insider game that he plays. It's like my team, you know, versus your team.
His people, yeah, sure.
People. But that being said, I think that as a manager, like getting the roadways built up, the management of the state, and you know, you got to give credit where credit is due, and those are some positive things. I'm a Florida Man employee of Florida, state of Florida, and the fact is they're very good managers of our retirement funds. I love what they're doing to Disney. You know? That's
great. That's like Disney hurricanes. They're doing good. Like the bread and butter Florida issues, they're doing fantastic. Lily sends a 1999 super sticker. Appreciate that so much for your support and all of the help with the channel. And then Jackals of Terry Argentum goes on and said, "I saw Homestead from the air 36 hours after Andrew." It looked like
now there's a hurricane. Now let's talk real hurricane.
My namesake here. Yeah, that was a massive bullet to specifically Homestead. Now, people don't know. People think, okay, it hit Miami. It hit the southern part of Miami really hard. And that is the area around Homestead Air Force Base. They wrecked, you know, just the fighter jets just flipped over and stuff like that. Cutler Bay, Florida City, all that just absolutely destroyed, flattened.
One of the most amazing things that I've ever seen from a hurricane was aftermath of Andrew. There was a high school football stadium, and it had these cement, you know, they have the big piers that have the lighting on it on either side. The piers of the stadium, the cement piers, were bent over.
That's crazy.
I mean, it was like, what? How did this happen? It looked like somebody took God took his hand and scraped it at about 10 feet off the ground and just scraped it for maybe about a 20-mile swath from around Homestead, just scraped it all the way from there into the Everglades. Every roof, the palm trees, which are supposed to just bend, the palm trees were cut right about all of them right about roof level. Every roof was gone. Every palm tree was cut. Andrew was a Cat 5, very small storm, but it just slammed and it laid the sky right across that thing. And I'm amazed more people didn't die from that. It was quite an event. Where are we on the drinking game? Because
we're actually at, but I'm just getting through these because by the time we get through these, we're stocked up for round 2. So Graham Finn and Son says became a member. Appreciate that. So welcome to the members, and you have access to those emojis now. Jay over there in the Chicago says in NC they went by Waffle House.
Yes, you know the Waffle House system, right?
I actually don't know, so let me know about that.
The Waffle House system. See, Waffle House makes them money. They're always online, and they have a system of like red, yellow, green. Green means it's open for service. Yellow's being an up, and red it's a down, right? And there's so many Waffle Houses in Florida and around the world, right? That it's a good way to determine who has power and who is in operation. So if your Waffle House is green, you can see where the impact of the hurricane is. And they're very good. They're very good management at Waffle House, because how else can you sell food for that cheap?
Yeah, it's not possible. It's not possible. Jim Satala says, why would anyone in Florida who doesn't have a generator is mind-boggling to me. For $2K, you can get a generator that will run your AC and most things. Else you get a 50 amp plug on your good panel, easy peasy. Yeah, if you have a house, you should have a generator.
But now,
obviously, if you're living in an apartment or a condo, that's more difficult, and that's the people who don't have generators, right?
But also, stay away from. Don't put your generator in your garage and close the door. That's how a lot of people die. People die from hurricanes.
Super death issue, right? You have to put that bad boy outside. Sorry, guys, not sorry.
And because of that, get the Honda quality generator, not the Chinese-made thing that goes and you put it outside next to your neighbor. And
it's gonna also, you got to look at how much it's gonna run, because a lot of people, they try to overrun their generators, right? So you're trying to run like your entire house. And you got to understand, some of the generators you're buying, they can probably run your like refrigerator.
Yes, here's what you do. Like, you run your refrigerator, you go to Walmart, you buy the cheapest possible window AC, and you put it in the window of the one room that you're going to stay in. So you run your refrigerator, you have a nice cool bedroom, and the rest of the house heats up while the power's out. But meanwhile, you got AC, and then when you go for food, you got
in the important room.
Important room.
Yeah.
So that's all good.
Yeah. Not running your central AC. You're running a single unit to like one area. It's very possible. Jackal Satara drove from Kendall to Country Walk. Oh yeah, Country Walk was screwed up too. And then down to Key Biscayne. There was no reason for any power lines along those tornado zones to be above ground and then purposefully withhold their trucks. Now, I know with and this is something we can go back and forth on. I know with Florida soil, because we have limestone, because just the water table we're very close. Like, you don't have to go down far for water, so I know that burying power lines has other challenges, but you can certainly do it. And there are areas of Miami, other areas of South Florida where power lines are buried. So yeah, it is a thing, and the more we can move towards that in Florida, the better. The more
I don't quite know why FPL is so against undergrounding power lines.
I mean, I know we have the technology. It's just expensive. It's going to be more expensive.
I get that, but we would rather fund management districts and football stadiums and building new hotels, giving them tax breaks so that they can build the Tangier Outlet Mall next to 95. So, and we gave a tax break to the Tangier Mall.
Yeah.
Why do we do that? Because Daytona
or issue these government bonds for development of stuff that's largely private, like for example, the development of the Brightline, right? Which is now
so this is the thing. I mean, Florida government sucks, and one of the reasons they suck is because they should focus on this, underground power lines, making the beautiful, lowering the taxes, making the environment, because people are already coming here, and just make the quality of life. But they seem to neglect the most basic governmental functions because they got their head in the clouds and they want to be big businessmen, but they're not. You're just a government official that got elected to something. Do the basics right. Get the sewer working, get the power lines underground, make the town beautiful, make those things run, make the roads nice and clean. That's good. That's good enough for me. Everything else, we'll handle it.
Let's take care of it. I'll read this one on Locals here. Patrick says, it's almost like if you live in a location, you know the risk for what will happen. When shit goes bad, Floridians will flee, maybe take some responsibility. No, it's not about that at all. We know our state has it covered, Patrick. The thing is that the state has it covered, and the smartest thing to do with certain natural disasters is get out. Like, if you're in a volcano zone, you're not like, you need to man up and take that volcano. Like, you need to just
you got burned down by lava. What the hell are you thinking?
Walk it off, pussy. It's like,
rub dirt on it.
Oh, sure, bro. Sure. How about you just go uptown, come right back. Your taxes are paying for it. You're paying for it financially, right? You are paying for it. But yet, here's the amazing thing. We're able to pay for it and keep our taxes low. No income tax, baby. We're still able to have hurricanes, take care of them in a proper way, and still pay no income tax. How about that, California? How about that, New York?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's just an acceptable risk. Those people that have the beach house, those are multi-million-dollar houses. I'm not crying for them when their house gets blown down, because they spent millions of dollars for their beachfront house, and it's like, okay, you are not the but unfortunately we do have this thing. Oh my God, it's a disaster. Yes, but if you can afford that beach house, you should know that a hurricane could come and wipe out their beach house. And the fact is that property, now you got a clear lot. You can build a brand new Florida house. Man, it probably went up in value.
By the way, there was a funny one too. There's a story about not running away. About Florida men had to be told to stop firing their shotguns with like silver into the hurricane because they were like trying to change the weather, like weather composition by like firing guns off into the hurricane. Hilarious, very hilarious. Let's see. Lily says, "That's funny, Andrew. I have a carport that my swing hangs from, and that's where I commune with the storm from." Hunch says, "So Indalia was my first Florida hurricane. Not impressed. When I went for a 3-mile run the day it hit here in the Cape Coral area. Yeah, some of them are very weak. That's what I'm saying. Like a tropical storm. My family would go to the movies during tropical storms. I literally. I mean, it's not something we take very seriously.
Tropical storms are not. Okay, I have another share for you. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Present. Share screen. I gotta.
And we are at drink number 2, almost to drink number 3. We are close to drink number 3.
Okay, so can you share that? I'll hit play when you share that.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Here's Florida man in a hurricane. Right.
Very true.
Literally, true. that was Florida man bad banging the Slayer during a hurricane. I mean, and so I'll drink to that. That's the way you deal with it. It's not that bad.
No, especially during category 1, like it's.
And they'll always get the reporter who's got his little hat and his raincoat, and he's out there reporting. And and they find the place where the low point in the road, so it's flooded, and he's standing there like, "Oh my God, here I am." And meanwhile, Florida.
And by the way, that's a normal Tuesday in Florida for a lot of places because there's always the low place in the road. I lived in Brickell in Miami. Folks who are from Miami know. Like the area, it always floods. It rains heavily, like just during the day, and it's flooded because it's a low point. So,
which is what our government should work on is the drainage on those areas because dealing with water is a big issue in Florida, and they need to focus on that.
Once again, we're very close to it. We're very, very close to it. It's an intimate relationship. We're almost like the Venice of the U.S., except for without the weird Italianness. Some people, by the way, are saying that burying the underground power is impossible to fix. So that's very interesting. So maybe that's the reason for it. Who knows?
Well, and you also get when trees go down and the roots fall and they break the lines. But the water lines are underground.
Yeah. Well, regardless, guys, cheers to freedom and the freedom that you find in Florida. And I hope that all of you, if you've not been to Florida, you can join Florida men like me and Steve Gosney in finding true freedom.
And I have another topic that I have written down here. And that is that here's in. I don't want to over. Well, you all right?
I'm all right. All right.
Good
whiskey, monkey shoulder.
So yeah, that happens all the time. Boosh is here, and I saw that Hunch the Dirty Roofer was over here in a chat. He'd sent a channel on.
Yes,
he's cool. See, we appreciate our power people and our roofers. Those are heroic people in Florida.
They're doing the Lord's work.
The Lord's work. Well, here's the thing, and your channel has exploded because who would have thunk it that some lawyer from Florida who specializes in special taxing districts would ever find a gift of the Disney DeSantis lawsuit would fall in his lap. But here we are. And so I think we need to address, because we have very strong opinions about theme parks. And here's we have a beautiful family, hardworking family in upstate New York who's working at a restaurant, and they save their money, and they call up Disney, and Disney is like $2,000 a day, and they come down here for a week, and they say, okay,
$2,000 a day for a family of 4 for sure.
Yeah, and I've saved up my money for the last 6 years so that I can have the ultimate Disney vacation for my kids. And they come down and they spend, and they get their son.
Hold on though. You're kind of missing this out. So they get there, they fly in, right? They get on the Disney bus, which literally has near blacked out windows that they keep intentionally small so you don't look outside. They play the Disney propaganda. They take you directly from the airport in the Disney bus to the Disney World, right? Keeps you in the ecosystem. And maybe after they spend all their money there at the parks, they do everything there, maybe they go directly on another Disney bus to a Disney cruise, and you stay within the Disney ecosystem the entire time. before they hop on a plane and head right back.
And then they say, "Oh, we saw Florida." I'm like, okay, so I wanted to
this much of Florida. Yes. Now, so here's my argument with you, Steve. So, okay, is that seeing Florida?
No.
However, are theme parks a decisive part of Florida culture?
Yes, but okay. Okay, but there's a lot of but.
I'll hear you out.
And I will say, okay, Florida there's a big portion of Florida that was built on theme parks. And before there was the mouse, we had Gatorland, we had Silver Springs, we had Silver Springs, remember, home of Jacques Cousteau, and we had Marineland, and we had all these things, and it just gradually snowballed into Disney taxing districts and Universal and Legoland and SeaWorld and Busch Gardens and major theme parks. All right. Which, if you want to do that and that's your thing, I'm all for it. You go spend all your money. I'm just saying that you can have a great Florida vacation for a third of the price, and it will be better than if you go to do a theme park vacation. That's my argument.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to talk about that alternative Florida vacation to really see Florida that's not theme park oriented, or at least give some alternatives, like Silver Springs and the St. Augustine Alligator Farm. I think are both worth visiting. As far as I think they're as good as you'll have just as much fun at minimal crowds, minimal cost, much more laid back, much more family. It's not like crowds and fighting elbows and dealing with the mouse and the Disney and the bus and the parking and and you'll just have more fun. And I don't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, where are you weighing in on this? I'm throwing out this.
Yeah, no, I'm saying real quick that, look, I think that theme parks are essential because of the amount of Florida men and women that spend time working in them, that spend time dealing with them, that spend time working around them, right? Because when you know where they are, you know where the problems are, you know where all the tourists are, you avoid those places, or you use them strategically, right? So I will use those areas strategically. So sometimes I'll know that, hey, the theme park does this thing for free for its people, so I'm going to use this as a kind of a hack, right? So, for example, if I knew that I could get something free off of Disney, Universal, whatever else, I could like park somewhere or go somewhere, and I could take advantage of that, I would do that when I wanted to. Or like, for example, if I wanted to get around and I knew, the transportation within Disney is free, so I can just kind of hop on this boat. No one's going to ask any questions. I can go from here to there. I don't have to move my car. I can park at Disney Springs. I can just get on the transportation, get on the boat, and not worry about anything, not worry about moving over and parking at the hotel itself, right? And just like get around or backdoor into the I can park at Disney Springs and get into the theme park, right? Like, I will do that because Florida man knows.
The back way. You know the back way into the back way.
I know the back way. I've taken the back door entrance many a time. And actually, you drive by Reedy Creek.
Well, but have you been to Disney's back door?
Yes, I've been in Disney's back door.
Okay, yeah. I know all the time. That's you. Yeah. You built a channel on it.
Yeah, I'm literally backdooring Disney on a regular basis right now.
Have you violated the Disney protocols and done a Florida man invasion of the tunnels under Magic Kingdom?
I have not been in the tunnels. So I know a lot of people that have been in tunnels. I've seen the tunnels. I've seen video of the tunnels. So I defer to you. So what did you think? What do you think about the Disney tunnels?
Well, boy, should I tell the secret of the tunnels? How much do we hate Disney? Can I tell you how to get into the tunnels? That information is proprietary. All you have to do is follow a character, and you'll find your way in. Most of the exits if you go into certain exit doors that say like staff only, you just open that down. There's a stairway down. You go right into the tunnels. So when I was going to Disney one time, I decided I would help myself to the thing. And the key is to look like you're supposed to be there. So you just walk around, and it looks like a maintenance tunnel. And they've got the hairdoing place and the costuming place, and they have a whole underground city underneath the Magic Kingdom, which is because the Magic Kingdom is actually a second story. The first story is the tunnels. It's not underground. You can't dig down, so they build up. So the whole Magic Kingdom is built on a second story, basically. So yeah, you can just walk around, and I just walked around, checked it out, and I looked like I knew what I was doing, looking for and it wasn't that great. I gotta say, it wasn't, but it was definitely violative of the mouse's rules. If I'd gotten caught, I would have gotten probably ejected.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the mouse will quickly eject you, right? Will quickly eject you.
You're Leprechaun.
Let me get some of this. Yeah, Leprechaun Gold, the $50 super chat. Thank you so much, Leprechaun Gold. Appreciate the super sticker. That one was a transforming robot. So thank you so much for the robot super sticker. Appreciate you there very much. Jackals and Terra Argentum. We're probably going to be doing a third drink here in a second. Jackals and Terra Argentum. So South Miami, between the middle school and the old Canton restaurant. Yes, I know exactly where that is. Used to be covered almost completely with a canopy of trees. Andrew erased them all and threw a yacht from Bayside Twilight Government Center. During Andrew, I looked out my window and saw a palm tree traveling down the street, flying through the air, traveling down the street in the correct lane. In the correct direction. Like I was like, and then that was when I think it was my dad who I think he pulled me away from the window and was like stop looking outside, because I was just so fascinated by the just intensity of the storm. But one thing I'm actually always impressed on, and I'm not trying to be hippy dippy here, but palm trees are they're so specialized in their development to bend with the wind and to go with it instead of staying rigid. And that's why they survive when almost all the other trees just get blown the fuck out, right? And by the way, I'm talking about native Caribbean or Florida palm trees, not the shit from the Middle East, not the crap from California, wherever else. The stuff that's from Florida sticks around and is absolutely resilient, right? You see the coconuts drop too, so you get to go out there and get coconut water. Get that real fresh coconut water after a hurricane. Great stuff. Mark Leone says Southern Hibachi is amazing. Viva Waffle House. What's your Waffle House order, Steve? What's your Waffle House order?
I don't do Waffle House. I'll tell you, because see, this is the problem with working in criminal law. We have a Waffle House that's right down the street from my office, and just like last year, there was a machete attack where a random homeless person attacked a customer with a machete while they were sitting in their booth. So I can't really, this is the problem. I get a little paranoid about every location that has that kind of action. So I can't say I'm a Waffle House partaker. Is that a sin?
That's okay. Yeah. I mean, if you're not, like, I know some people, for example, I like Bojangles, right? Bojangles is not really in Florida anymore. There used to be some in Northern Florida, but they kind of moved out. So I could say, look, I love Bojangles, but I don't get to go, right? Because it's not as close, right? Crystal Burger. I'd have to travel far to go like Crystal Burger or White Castle. I'd have to travel pretty far to go get them. So I like it, but it's like, well, it's far away. So,
yeah,
gotta travel.
Somebody mentioned Circus World. Do you remember Circus World?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do remember Circus World.
I
remember the Holy Land Experience. Do you remember the Holy Land Experience?
I think
I remember Split in China.
So Holy Land Experience, I think, is still running.
It's sold out, I thought.
You thought?
I thought they sold part of it. I don't know. But I do remember Splendid China, but I never went there. I was actually kind of sad that I never went there.
To what, Splendid China or?
Yeah, Splendid China.
Yeah, well, it was run by the communists. Now they just support the Epcot Chinese communist experience.
The park, yeah.
Yes, the propaganda. Well, I will say that. So
no, I like viewing it for the purpose of like ridicule and commentary,
Well, on options for so I want to suggest, just mildly suggest, if you've been to the theme parks, you've been there and done that, don't waste your money anymore, especially on the mouse. You're looking for mouse alternatives. I mean, I really love the Alligator Farm. I love, NASA and the Cape Canaveral, Cape Kennedy. They have a thing where you can see the space shuttle and the Saturn V. It's really beautifully done. Highly recommended. Catch a launch in the Cape. That's cool. Go to Matanzas Inlet. It's the best inlet in Florida. You can wade out into the intercoastal waterway, and they have the rocks. They have a garden. It's all right there within that zone. It's wonderful. St. Augustine's beautiful. Of course, and we talked to Tragos. I was talking to Peter Tragos about the sponges over in Tarpon Springs. Tarpon Springs is really beautiful. They've got great restaurants, very Greek. There's so many things. Tampa St. Pete is beautiful. I love Tampa St.
Gorgeous, especially like places like Tarpon Springs, the very, very beautiful, the Greek community out there, the architecture. There's so many little gems in Florida that people can sleep on. It's absolutely crazy, right? Let me continue here. Darius Wright says, I was in the Army at Fort Bragg when Andrew hit. I was in charge of mobile radio transmitter. We were called in to broadcast post-hurricane PSAs. I'm from NOLA, and the devastation even shocked me. Yeah, actually, the one fight I almost got in with, and of course it was with a liberal white woman, was she was like, she had gone to New Orleans for a weekend to like help out with Katrina, and she did her paper on hurricanes or whatever else. And I was like, you know, like her master's thesis on hurricanes. And we were at a bar, and you know, she was talking like she knew all about hurricanes and this and that. And I'm like, how many hurricanes have you ever actually been through? And she's like, 0. You know, she lived in upstate New York. I'm like, well, you don't know shit about hurricanes. Of course, it was her paper, right? So the girl gets up yelling in my face. You know, a guy next to me who's also from South Florida is like, look, Andrew's from Miami. I was here near Homestead. We actually saw this shit. We saw the real consequences of a hurricane, and we didn't just visit. We didn't just come in to do work, we get out. We know hurricanes. We live it. We breathe it. When I grew up 3rd grade, the National Hurricane Center, which is out by FIU, which is also my alma mater, they sent out a truck to my elementary school to teach us about hurricanes, barometric pressure, to teach us the different types of clouds, right? The signs of a tornado, to how to track the hurricanes, you know, the cone of uncertainty, you know, all of that stuff. They taught us all that stuff, and we grew up with it. It's part of our bones. It's something that somebody who lives in, you know, in Canada or whatever else, you can't really know until you've been in Florida for a while. And even then, you've got to get used to it as a culture, like as just a thing we go through, you know, much like someone might go through a snowstorm, you know, in the north. It's the same thing.
Well, and we have one of the I'll give you another secret to hurricanes. My wife works at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, which is a privately run aeronautical university. They are a good barometer. Don't listen to the stupid government. Don't listen to the stupid media. Listen to what Embry-Riddle does. Because when Embry-Riddle does it, it's right on the money. They have a meteorology school. They have planes that they need to protect. They're in Daytona Beach. And I mean, they are very on top of it when it comes to hurricanes. But you, like you say, when you live in Florida, you should know the tracks of hurricanes, the strengths, how it works, you know, how they tend to flow. And I would like to hear your Andrew experience. If you you lived through Andrew, did you stay?
Yes, I lived through Andrew. We stayed there. Luckily our house was very sturdily constructed, and I was more in Miami proper, so more towards the Miami proper area. So I didn't have the same issues. Now we did have damage. We actually lost. We had a deck in the back. We had a tree fall on our deck, completely destroy it. There were actually some animals, like there was a possum and a fox actually living underneath the deck. They got killed, unfortunately, because the tree fell on top of it and crushed it, right? We also had a mango tree, and I was very sad because it took out our mango tree and also an avocado tree. Very sad about that. Like our mangoes and avocados down in Florida.
I'm depressed now. Mike likes tacos unsubbed to me because of my Subaru shirt.
But he unsubbed to you for your Subaru shirt?
Here's the thing. Let me see if I can win him back. The thing is, see, when you're a Florida man, see, we're not lesbian. I am an honorary lesbian, but that's not the reason. You are an honorary lesbian. But that's not the purpose. The thing is when you're driving on I-4 at 80 miles an hour in a blinding rainstorm, you want to have all-wheel drive, because that thing sticks to the ground like a machine. In that rain, you're blasting through the rain. It's not going through snow and off-road and dirt. It's rainstorms in Florida, and I want all-wheel drive, and Subarus have the best. They stick to the road like no other. Never had a hydroplaning issue. Now, have you had a hydroplaning issue in a Florida highway?
Oh, I absolutely have hydroplaned in a Florida highway, for sure, 100%. It's a terrifying experience, but once you do it once you hydroplane once, and it scared the Jesus out of me or into me, Well, either way, you know,
out and in.
we're homeboys now.
No.
We're homeboys now. I am lucky. I am alive right now. It is definitely something that you experience, and then you learn how to drive in that.
Well, see, that's the problem when you know. Like I had a
now you know. Now I know
a Grand Caravan, a Chrysler or a Chrysler Town and Country, because I had I was like, Mr. Van Driver. And boy, that thing, it was a great car. I loved it. You could pack stuff in there. It was all features. But the thing is, when you're on the highway and it's raining, it's like, and you learn to kind of drift. Okay, this is going to hydroplane, but it'll catch. So you just can't panic. And you have to, boy, that thing did not stick to the road when it rained. And so that's why I went full Subaru. And I love the suspension. It's low. The other thing Florida Man is good at is rolling cars on I-4. So Subarus stick to the road and they control, and you can see them coming. It's got good brakes, good suspension, great cars. Love Subaru. Thumbs up. So little gay.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. No. Okay. Hey. Listen,
I'm comfortable with my sexuality.
It's all right. Florida men are comfortable with their sexuality. Just me says trying to be a Houston boy whose birthday is one day off from the hurricane peak. The storm of 1900 and Carla were on my birthday. 9/11 has been a disaster in my family. 94 in my family. 64 last week ago tomorrow.
Okay, read that again. Try being a Houston boy.
Oh, so there's lots of things he's saying. Like 9/11 was last week, right? 7 days ago. So he's saying there a lot of stuff happened then. I guess a storm of 1900 was in September in Galveston, right? It was September 8th, right? But that's still like around about the time of September 11th. So that time has been bad for him. That is pretty crazy.
And can I also give a shout out to?
And by the way, Texas Galveston did get wrecked by that hurricane. Absolutely,
Galveston gets hammered. And I'm going to give a shout out to Danielle, who's my Florida woman, who's my mentoree. She's always there, and she got herself a Subaru, and she liked
your Danielle, not my Danielle.
My Danielle. Danielle is. You got Texas Danielle. I got Florida.
I got Texas Danielle. Yeah. Let's be very clear about which Danielles we're talking about here. Yeah.
Well, I'll throw out some shade, but
I see your Danielle's right here, right? See.
Yeah.
That's
my Danielle. Isn't she cute?
That's your Danielle.
Yeah.
Yes. Danielle's are good chat waifus. Mark of Reality says they need to deregulate. I think it might be deregulate power companies enough so that each consumer has a choice between 3 or 4 power companies. But hey, politicians, look, especially if you could choose and you get to be like, you can go with hippy dippy green energy company, or you can go with Mike's coal burning, Chads. Just do it, or nuclear Nick. You can just go with nuclear Nick, and you can choose your power source. That would be fantastic. I'd be down. I'd be absolutely down with
it. Well, and of course, a real Florida man knows that there's such a thing as there's Florida Power and there's Florida Power and Light.
Yes, there's 2 different things.
And the Florida Power, its power plant site is on one side of the lake, and Florida Power and Light is on the other side of the lake, but they power opposite sides of the lake. So I never understood that.
Yeah, but different sides of the lake, you draw the line through the middle of the lake, and you're like,
that's right. I don't understand.
Do not cross this line. Hunch says for 5, Steve, y'all may appreciate roofers, but permitting offices just trying to raise my blood pressure and give me the proverbial pegging. That's what once again, government bureaucrats at every level, including permitting, right? They are there to literally be a peg, so you just pay them to go away and stop. You're like, stop bothering me. Here's my money. Just go. Fuck off. Right? They're an absolutely unnecessary roadblock. And permitting has gotten crazy. I will agree with you that. I'm for deregulation of that, Hunch. So I'm with you, homie.
There's a balance, and I am with. It's very hit or miss. It's very locality driven. Some localities are very permitting friendly. Some are ridiculously stupid. A lot of it has to do with the power trip.
The problem is, Steve, is that the good ones are outweighed by a lot of the bad ones that are really bad. And the problem is that when you give them the power, they have the ability to abuse the discretion. And so I would say, look, there's a benefit, but the amount that we're losing in the abused discretion is not worth it, because they're just abusing their power at a certain point. They're going on power trips, like you said, sort of like we saw during the certain event that happened involving a China virus,
Oh yes,
like
yes.
there
Well,
were people on
again,
power
Florida,
trips that
Florida man came
dealt
out
with
on
that
top on
well.
this one.
Yeah, dealt with that very well.
Very
Florida
well.
man took a massive W on that one.
And I will say that, one of the things, even when the wokesters were on their most aggressive in Florida, we Florida men found a loophole, and that is that you can't drink through a straw with a mask on. So you could
Sure.
have your drink as long as you had your drink in hand in your
That
bottle
was
of water,
originating from Florida.
which is, you got to have bottled water in Florida. You don't want us to pass out from dehydration. So we would just sip on our drink, and any of the Karens, you could slay them. You could ban them. It's like holy water and on vampires, just like the garlic. Look, I have my bottled water. What? You don't want me to hydrate? It's Florida. Hey, I want to shout out to Jay Leaguebot. He loves to do it for
Jay Leaguebot, yes, homie, good supporter of the channel, been around for a while.
Had a blast in Nashville. We got to say Nick Ricada and Andrew Branca, who's our boy. Andrew Branca is an honorary Florida man. Was down there with Nick and the boys in Nashville, so I'm sure they had lots of fun. I thought about it, but I'm just too busy right now.
Yeah, it was an intercontinental flight. You gotta get some good reasons for me, and it was just timing that was going to be the only thing I could do. And I'm also, as Xander said, how's Japan planning to go to Japan in October? It's going very good. I think I locked down which bar we're going to meet at in October. So anybody who's around Halloween and wants to head to Tokyo, I will have some details out very close for that. And those are already in Asia. So there's going to be some details out for that. So yes, Xander, very well, coming out very soon. Cal Mahona says, but. Well, there's always a but. There's always a but.
Always a but.
Is this live? Says, personally, I love South Beach. So many strange, wonderful people, great Cuban food so many times around. Okay, I'm going to give my little rant here. South Beach, when I went back the last time, which was last year, it has changed dramatically, particularly South Beach. So not North Beach, which is where the Hebrews, the Joes and the Ron Colemans of the world, they're over there in North Beach. We're not talking about that. We are talking about South Beach. There are still some good restaurants, some good food, some good stuff like that, but it's been invaded by the nastiest of the nasty folks who are engaged in oftentimes fighting, brawling, stealing from restaurants, abusing the restaurant owners, twerking on cop cars, shitting in the streets. I mean, these people are doing some nasty, nasty stuff. And that's because it's kind of marketed itself to a certain lowest common denominator. We'll just put it that way. And also, the city of Miami Beach fails to want to clean it up. And then
you've always got the person who comes to Miami, rents himself a Lamborghini convertible, and drives down South Beach going vroom 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 vroom, trying to be cool because he's got his rented.
Drives in a circle with your rented Lambo, which you rented for $75 a day now because there's so many of them, right? So it's like you rented it for like a little bit more than a Corolla, and you're rolling around in it, trying to have people, foam over it, but you realize there's 7 other Lambos backed up.
Yes, and it's like, to me, that's a mark of stupidity, driving a Lambo in Miami. But I will.
They're funny. By the way, it's always funny to me because on US 1 there's a dip. And it's actually like the graveyard of sports cars. So if you are a Miamian, you know where the dip is. And the reason why the dip is important is because Lambos and sports cars, they ride slow. And they always get flooded. And I laugh because I see these just out-of-town retards. They end up driving through it, stalling out their Lambo because they flood the engine. And they're stuck there in this corner. It's absolutely, it's golden. If you're a Miami and to drive on the left side, not on that right side, but they always end up in that ditch, and I love it. It's great.
That's so funny. Yes, this is Florida man pleasures.
Yeah. And by the way, Miami girls know, the actual Miami girls who actually live in Miami, they know you can rent a sports car. They actually don't care about that.
It's the tourists meeting the tourists is what it is.
Right. Yeah, and a tourist, that's fine. If you want to meet other tourists, that's fine. And you can do that. It's like Vegas, right? If you want to meet other tourists in Vegas, that's fine. But the Vegas locals know what real Vegas is. The Miami people know what real Miami is. Market Reality says, in relation to what Steve said, a certain convenience store in South St. Pete was bulldozed, and it dropped the crime rate by like 10% for a week.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, you're right. Well,
it's true though. That does happen. Like that does actually happen where it's like
yes.
one spot is like 10% of the crime.
Well, and here's another suggestion for all those Florida politicians.
True.
Politicians out there, it's money well spent would be to, I mean, I could give up a list of about 10 places that they should condemn and just make into little public parks. You know, just tear down the worst of the worst. These little, you know, any place that's got bars in the window, you're in the wrong part of town. And, you know, there's a couple, the worst building in the bars in the window area. If they just tore down some of those buildings, it would vastly improve. And see, Daytona, we have like, see, everybody in Orlando kind of laughs at Daytona because we're like, everything kind of flows. All the scum and scumbags end up on Daytona Beach because it's like blue collar. We haven't talked NASCAR yet either, by the way.
No, we have not, which is purely Daytona. That's a specifically Daytona thing. Because honestly, I will say I did not grow up with NASCAR. Did not grow up as a NASCAR fan, but I've been to Daytona. I've been to the track. I've seen a race. Right, it's really cool. It's a cool experience to go and see it in person. Not a fan myself, but hey, it's cool.
Well, I was born and raised in Daytona Beach, and we know the Frances, you know, the owners of NASCAR, and I'd say not really close. In fact, we just had dinner with one of a close friend of Lisa France Kennedy's, you know, and but we're sort of in the orbit. You know, my dad knew Daddy Bill France, and but you know, you see, this is the problem. Being from Daytona, it used to be that it's like, okay, the Daytona 500 is coming, and they wanted to fill the stands. So you'd call up and say, oh, I need 8 tickets to the 500. And they'd be like, oh, okay, come down to the office and pick them up. We pick them up, right? Now it's like $500 to get terrible seats. I'm like, you want me to pay what for what? I'm not paying that. That's crazy. Sit out in the heat and walk and fight the traffic. Now, I will say there's a workaround, though, and that's the 24 hours of Daytona. So what you do is you come to the 24 hours. It's laid back. It's cool. You can go in the infield. You can walk around, and you get to see the sports cars. Much, much cooler. And but yeah, I've been around now. In fact, I was even thinking about like, because you know, Nick Rekieta's got a boyfriend named Camelot.
Yes, he's got a boyfriend / a gimp. Yes,
yes, and I was thinking like, you know, if I'm going to be friendly with Nick, I got to be friendly with his boyfriend, right?
Well, his boyfriend's been banned off all platforms for being too gay. So
okay, well, could be, but I was thinking, how do I bond with this gay boyfriend? And I'm like, well, we could talk NASCAR. So I was like, there's a common ground, you know. I'm not gay, but I do like NASCAR. I do have NASCAR roots, right? So I was like, that would be something we could do. What do you think?
That's very possible. That's very possible. I mean, you can talk to him about, you know, Talladega Nights. You know, it's
Talladega Nights, possible. Ricky Bobby, you know, Cole Trickle. I remember we had when they had the Days of Thunder, and Daytona kills me. We got problems at Daytona. You know, we get
some serious problems. Like I remember the one craziest date where there was like realistic catfish. Is like I went out with this girl, and she looked like typical kind of sorority girl, you know, whatever look, and she was like blonde, whatever. I go to Daytona. Number one, she's got dyed her hair black, and she is the most strung out, clearly on drugs looking girl, hair falling out, everything else like that girl I've ever seen in my life. And that was a Daytona. It was right next to a Waffle House. It was a Starbucks date, but that was one of the craziest ones ever. I was like, all right.
Yeah. If your date lives in Daytona, you got to be careful.
You got to be real careful if they're from the Dirty D.
Yes. Now there's beautiful. The Florida Daytona people know, and Florida man knows that it's not Daytona downtown you want to go to. It's Port Orange, it's Ormond, it's Ponce Inlet. Somebody mentioned
Ponce. Ormond is really nice.
Beach. It's the land. It's everything that surrounds Daytona, but it's that inner city Daytona that kind of attracts a certain crowd. You know, just saying. Well, what sort of like, you know, and just
There's two more here we should get real quick.
Okay.
Galveston essentially LARPed the fall of Atlantis and sinking of Numenor. Good nerd references right there. I like it with that hurricane. If it wasn't for that, it would have replaced Houston in terms of economic significance if it wasn't for said storm. Well, you got to understand, it's actually happened several times for them over their history. In fact, it happened with Jean Lafitte, right? If you look into his colony way back around the War of 1812, after he saved really the Republic with Andrew Jackson down there in the Brits. He went over to the Galveston, Texas area and got wiped out. Is had a very thriving community there. Got wiped out by a storm. So it's a thing. It's a problem in Galveston. Very high probability of being hit by a hurricane, a devastating hurricane.
Yeah, Galveston is low also. See, this is the thing. So Daytona and the East Coast is much higher. There's big dunes, and we are not as susceptible to any kind of storm surge, whereas the Gulf Coast is much flatter, and it's much more susceptible to flooding. But what you do is you just turn around and go the other way. That's what I'm saying. If a big hurricane comes, we just go to West Virginia.
Yes. Hey, it's always possible. You go anywhere inland is pretty much fine.
Here's Death Angel's Shadow. He knows something. He's a Florida man because he knows Deltona. You know Deltona?
I know Deltona. I know Deltona.
See, Deltona was like back before there was growth management, any kind of law, and they were selling lots in Florida at so they just took a big bunch of swamp and they plotted lots and owned a lot in Florida for 20 grand. And all the New Yorkers plunked down their money and they built like 50,000 lots. And there was no roads, there was no schools, there was no businesses, there was no jobs, there was no nothing. Just a big lump of empty lots that people owned that they could build their dream home on, that the builders would come in and buy the cheapest house. And it's basically an Orlando suburb for the blue collar folks. And it's been uphill ever since. Volusia County has been working and working and working to establish schools and services and police services. And the crime is high because it's lower income. It's difficult. Now, DeBerry across I-4 is much nicer. But Deltona has been a problem because it really came in before the planning really got settled. And it's inexpensive housing. So that's one of the big appeals. And if you live in Orlando, it's hard to find inexpensive housing. But you got to fight I-4 though.
Right. Yeah, it's very difficult to find it anymore at all. Jackal Satura Argentum says, funniest thing I ever saw was a tourist driving a Maserati on the way to Cocoa Walk. Yes, shout out to Cocoa Walk. I grew up going to a lot of movies at Cocoa Walk. On the Masson Hammock side, and drove into a puddle, one of those dips in the road, blocked everyone for 4 hours. I know exactly what we're talking about, and that's very close to the dip in US 1 that I'm talking about as well. These are exactly what happens in Florida, and it's classic because the tourists don't know. They have no idea. Yeah. And they rent their Maserati, and they're praying that their insurance is going to cover their own stupidity when it comes to flood damage. They're like reading through the policy frantically, checking it to make sure it's covered because of course they can't afford the actual car itself. Right. They bought it for they rented it for a day or two, and then they're going to drop it back off at the airport. Anyways, guys, we did hit an epic level of super chats there. We had some critical mass. So I'm going to one more in there for everybody. Cheers. We're also at 474 people, which is amazing. It's critical mass of people, critical mass of support for the channel and support for the two based Florida men. So cheers to you guys right now.
I've got 109 watching on Rumble.
109 checking out the
guys. 100 on my YouTube's channel. So, I'm way low on my subscribers. So if anybody,
let me simp you. Let me simp for you real quick here. So guys, you need to go over here, and you need to subscribe to Stephen Gosney. Do not let the cute dog fool you. This is straight Gos. Okay, you're gonna get straight Gos when you come over to stevegosney.com. In fact, I need to subscribe right there.
Revealed. Florida man revealed.
Florida man betrayal. No, I literally just didn't do it.
Because you follow me on Rumble.
Okay. Yeah, I'm subscribed to Steve. Well, for the longest time, you didn't actually have a YouTube channel. So,
I know. And I still my last thing I posted was over on Rumble because Google would ban me for the stuff I was saying last time. So I just said I'll just do Rumble only. But look at all that good stuff in there. Look
good at all this stuff, good information here. You're doing a live stream on Adalia. That's really great. A lot of interviews with some weird Korean guys. You've got some Florida-based chads. There's a guy. You were all up in Reedy Creek's Reedy Creek. I did appreciate.
I sent you some videos on that.
There were some good ones. I was like, I would 100% be chased off that property with a firearm or a double-sided Mickey implement.
I almost went and and went inside the Reedy Creek offices and asked them if they wanted a book of answers and answers in law and videoed it. Would that have been cool? But the
would
have
been amazing.
I would have done it, but my wife was with me and she didn't want to get me arrested.
No. I mean, well, actually, you know what's funny? Because the Reedy Creek building, well, as far as I know, though, I got to double check, but they should have, since that they should be controlled by the new district, the CFTOD. So they
haven't changed the sign yet.
Yeah, so I think there may be a dispute over that. Maybe maybe they're waiting for the lawsuit to settle, but where it becomes it's officially the CFTOD. But I see no reason why that wouldn't. But also the weird thing is that they've been meeting at an alternate location. They haven't been meeting at the actual building itself, which means that I've been in the conference rooms there. They're not very big, so I guess they expect more people.
But you know what they need to do is tear that whole building down and make a connector road into the big hotel, the Hyatt, because the Hyatt got ratted out by the mouse, and you have to go out on that terrible road. That's right. What's that road that comes in there? And you have it's like all the traffic and the mess. And poor Hyatt is out because they didn't play nice with the mouse, and so the mouse walled them off. So I think Reedy Creek,
they wall everybody off they don't like.
Yeah, so they need to just make a nice little cut through road right there, and. Hyatt Regency, I'm for you. I'm for you, baby. I love you, Hyatt Regency. Sponsor my channel at stevegosney.com.
I know the Hyatt Regency folks. I mean, I could hook you up with them.
They're good people, you know? They're good people.
Jim Satal says Florida is littered with land scams that end up not being so scammy because stubborn people refuse to abandon their swampland they brought. Look into the brothers who dredged Cape Coral out of the swamp. A lot of folks, they didn't want to give up their whether it's swampland or orange groves, right? You know, and a lot of people, they pull a lot of dick moves to try to get the property from people. They're pretty much like, hey, look, we're going to buy out all the orange groves around you and just develop it, which pretty much makes it damages the agricultural value of your land, right? And they'll just make an offer you can't refuse. They'll just name a really high number for your property because they know they can crank out a bunch of cookie cutter homes on it and they can make a shit ton of money. And they can offer them as townhomes, whatever else. They can make it more dense. Or they can do the real scam, which is affordable housing. Because what they do is affordable housing is the best way to build luxury housing because you get government subsidies and government bonds. They're bond funded. So you end up having these funds poured into these affordable housing developments where they say, oh, 20% has to be affordable housing. So 20% is. But they take that 20% and they put it on this far end of the property. And the rest, which they separate on a different end of the property, is ultra luxury condominiums, which they sell for a insane premium. Yeah, a bajillion dollars, right? Ultra wealthy stuff. And they have the poors are segregated over to the corner, right? They do this so often. It's a scam. We should not be subsidizing this. I'm incredibly against it. And once again, it's the market. Us trying to interfere with the market and showing what people will do. Because
what they need to do is allow for smaller lot sizes, smaller house sizes. I had a county councilman
allow for a quarter lot, allow for an eighth of a lot. Fuck it, an eighth and an eighth.
When I was in the builder, used to run the Florida or the Volusia County Home Builders Association. Before I was a lawyer, I was the CEO for the Volusia County Home Builders Association, and I had a specific hard Democrat county council woman who shall remain unnamed. But if you know Volusia County, you'll know this Volusia County councilwoman. And when I was lobbying for the Volusia County home builders, we were always big for affordable housing, right? And she told me to my face, not within recording range of any microphones, she's like, we don't really want affordable housing because that's all services and no taxes. And that's the reality. The government doesn't. We have a homestead exemption, and they don't want the bigger, more expensive house that they can have built, the more they like it because it's paying lots of taxes and taking very little services. Whereas affordable housing is exactly the opposite. So if they really were serious, they could allow for tiny homes. They could have creative development designs. You could have mixes, but the governments don't want that. They want expensive, big, tall condos with lots of units packed in as much as they can, throwing out lots of money that they can then invest in all of their fat cat buddies. And it's pretty sick.
It's deplorable. It's actually disgusting. Pure Jealousy says, remember for 11 months. Thank you so much, Pure Jealousy, for hanging around for 11 months. Such a based waifu. says, thank you for the entertaining me while I am waiting to board a delayed flight. You always provide such quality content. Cheers, y'all. Cheers. And I'm always trying to see, innovate. Hey, what do you guys like? What do you not like? But I'm going to say one thing, Steve. People have loved Florida Man. If you like Florida Man, drop an F in the chat, maybe a gator emoji, maybe a rat if you want. If you like this chat, if you like this, guys, I want to see either something, an F and gator, a G for a Gosney, something. Drop it in the chat if you guys like this. You want me to bring Steve back as a guest if you enjoy him. I just want to make sure you guys like this. But it seems like from the turnout, from everybody's comments, from the support, you guys enjoyed this Florida Man.
We got
a little bit different. Got to mix it up a little bit.
We'll schedule Peter Tragos and we'll have a three-way.
A three-way Florida Man.
Three-way Florida Man.
And I pull Florida.
And it'll be the most respectable, quality,
classy.
This is your time to get on all your dirty questions because
this is the Dirty Daytona, the Dirty Dade episode. We're when Tragos is on, we're the country club. Florida.
That's right.
Right. We're the new Tampa.
We're
new Tampa. Yeah. We're out there, with the highfalutin, sophisticated folks.
And I will say that we have
in the chat.
Daytona Airport is the best airport you will ever fly in or out of. I will say that.
Really? Why? Why?
No lines. Laid back. Just gentle going. We spend extra money. We'll spend $200 a ticket more just so we can fly in and out of Daytona.
Britt Cormier, you're banned. I'm timing you out right now for saying the Gators are trash. Yeah.
You're a Gator, right?
You're banned. I'm a Gator. Yeah. So I'm like banned for the chat. Banned right now. Timed out. I'm
a Hatter. Happy Hatter.
Huh?
I'm a Happy Hatter.
I don't know that mascot. Sorry.
Sure, Stetson Hatters.
Stetson is the Hatters?
Yeah, you don't know the Mad Hatters.
I did not know that was their
I know.
That's cute. That's cute. That's cute. Really cute.
And you know what? My wife, she is Swoop.
Really?
Oh yeah. And she's also one of these.
No. That's just a hate symbol. That's a hate symbol.
Sorry to make bad obscene gestures.
Okay, all right.
You're one of these, right? You're a this.
Yeah.
This is us all private school snobatorium people. We like to start trouble between the Seminoles and the Gators because all you need to do is like poke them a little bit and they start going at each other. It's like it's
very
chemistry.
easy.
It's like putting two magnets repelling.
Welcome, Death Angel. Shout out to the RPG, to the replay. You can have access to all the emojis, including the rat in the live, but also all the old ones. We'll have some more coming out as we go. As we have more members, it helps me say, hey, look, I can go commission more emojis. So, maybe we'll have a Gaz emoji. Who knows?
Hey, let me ask the chat. Who else knows what swoop is? See what school is
in
that?
The chat. We'll see. We'll post in the chat.
See anybody who gets it. Yeah, that's a.
If you know what the swoop is.
Yes, swoop. Of course, my law school was Washington and Lee, which is really snobatorium, but
Washington Lee is definitely a snobatorium.
Yes, but I didn't. I never understood what a blue blood was. Oh, Grant Gray wins the booby prize for getting swoop. It's the UNF. Yep. And I'll say UNF is a vastly underrated school.
Big school.
It's a great school. They're very focused because like UCF, I'm also a Knight, by the way, Golden Knight. I have my master's from Golden Knights, but UNF, University of North Florida, is really a sleeper. They are very focused. UCF wants to be the biggest. Gators want to be the best. Seminoles just want to be as good as the Gators. But UNF is like, but they have their own little world. It's like, we aren't competing with all those people. We're here in Jacksonville. We're a public university. We're just going to provide education and get people jobs and do it right. And I'll tell you, she got a master's from UNF, and it was of the best.
Well, the focus, the whole focus, college is supposed to be giving you into a pipeline of getting a job. We've completely lost that. It's become this wokeism training camp, right? This essentially it's become the Al Qaeda of wokeism, right? Like they're seriously, it's like the Afghanistan, right? They're like training them to go off on woke jihad. And I tell people, especially I know people who have conservative kids, they send them to college, and it's like they're done. Even if they manage to go to private school to that point.
another good DeSantis thing is what he's doing at University of the new college.
Yes.
I love that. He wants to make it Hillsdale South, and I'm all for it, man. They should hire me. They should hire me.
Very good. What's up, Watcher? Good to see you in the chat. Popping in there. Samuel Williams, the founding father, says, hey, how come homeowners insurance is almost as much as a mortgage and AAA is canceling all their policies in Florida, and I can't find any other company that will cover my zip because I live near the beach? Well, you live near the beach. So obviously there was the big issue with homeowners insurance and hurricanes back in the day. That was a massive issue, especially post-Andrew, because the level of potential property damage, it is very, very high.
It's a never-ending legislative priority is getting our insurance rates down in Florida. It's a never-ending thing. And what happens is everybody
costs are high because people want to live there. It's a high demand state. No denying it, right? People now, especially now, want to live there because it's so free. And people say, well, the costs went up. Well, the costs were so reasonable, but they've gone up because people are like, damn, Florida is great, right? And like inflation has gone up in Florida, but that's because the demand has gone up for Florida. So, and it's not stopped. It's just astronomically jumped since the COVID era. Since people saw that not only is it a affordable state that's fun, it's got a lot of stuff to do, but we are not going to take away your freedoms, right? Your freedoms are still going to be intact in Florida. And the day-to-day Florida man is exercising his freedoms. You damn well better believe that.
And I will weigh in on the criminal justice side, though, unless you run afoul of our police, in which case we are merciless and unforgiving.
Yeah, which we could talk about that as a policy instinct, but of course I think in my mind, it seems to be a good thing because if you compare us vis-a-vis California or New York, where they're like, hey, listen, we're just not going to enforce any of our laws, right? So that's another thing. Now we can talk about the individual discretion of the officer, which is a whole separate topic, a whole separate Florida man stream. I mean, just specifically
maybe a Tragos topic.
Actually, that would be something. Yeah, we're talking with Tragos would be really interesting.
Put that on the list. We'll put Tragos.
Yeah, that's definitely a talking Tragos about the law. It's kind of intention versus enforcement, right? And like the individual officer and whether the individual officer is a dick, right?
And we won't talk about Odyssey or Mons Venus with Tragos.
No, we could talk about Sheriff Grady Judd though.
We'll put this on the.
That's a great list for Sheriff Grady Judd. Yeah, that's a good one.
For really or against? Well, you hear about our
I'm usually pro Grady Judd. I mean, you have to come out there and tell me something. No, but he pretty much is like, look, there's these pedos at Disney and we're arresting them. And it's like, yeah, that's what you should be doing. And Disney should have never hired him in the first place. But hey,
It's Sarah Brown in the chat. She must also be a Florida woman, and I'm bonding with her because she's doing all kinds of good stuff. But she says
they work well for speeding tickets. Boobs work well for speeding tickets in South Daytona. FYI, they're just classy men.
And see, this is the thing. Daytona, we have this little fiefdoms. We have little fiefdoms in Daytona. We have Daytona, South Daytona, Daytona Beach Shores, Ormond Beach, Port Orange, Ormond by the Sea. We've got, I don't even know. We create little Ponce Inlet, Wilbur by the Sea, all the Oak Hill. We have all these little tinky cities, right? But and Daytona looks down their nose at all its surrounding suburbs and says, oh, why don't you just join us? But then you go down South Daytona on US 1 and it's all the underground power lines. You have beautiful landscaping. It's all beautiful and everything's together. And it's like, and then as soon as you cross into Daytona, it's like homeless scumbags, houses falling apart, junk, scum, all over. It's like, okay, Daytona, get your damn act together. Stop spending money to redesign downtown Beach Street for the fourth time in a row. And why don't you spend some money to improve some of the gateway roads like International Speedway, Mason, US 1? Make those beautiful. Just do that one thing. One thing good, Daytona. Sorry, I'm lived here too long.
No, it's all right. It's all right. It's all good. It's all good.
And they're cranking on. We got some more Rumble rants.
Yeah, I got some more Rumble. Let's see. Graham says here that thoughts on Sheriff Chitwood's response to the Othel Ozone Wallace verdict. I actually don't know about this one.
Well, I'll explain it and then let you examine it.
Okay.
All right. Number one is I will probably get that appeal.
Oh, so you got to be careful about this.
Right.
Okay.
He was the one that he was charged with first degree murder, was being on a death, who was in a death case. It was a 1-week jury trial up in Clay County. They moved it because of pretrial publicity, and it was the death of a police officer named Jason Rayner. And Othell Wallace was the person who was accused of shooting him. He was convicted of the lesser charge of manslaughter, which carries with it a penalty of 9.5 years to 30. And the judge is Raul Zambrano, who's a buddy of mine. And and I will just say that Chitwood, he's our sheriff, and I am in his jurisdiction. And I will say that, let me see, how can I say this?
In a very politically safe way. Yes.
Yeah, let me think on it real hard here.
Yeah, unless you get, all of a sudden you're gonna hear in the background of this video.
Yeah, Gosney.
You know, like Gosney, get out here.
I just think that we all need to support our jury system. That's my thing. So, you know, when we say, you know, prosecutors love to get up in front of the jury and say to everybody, you know, we have beyond reasonable doubt. We embrace that standard. We believe in the jury system. Well, damn it, if you're going to say it before it, you say it after it too, because sometimes it doesn't go your way. Yeah. So I'll let you comment. I don't have nothing else to comment. I'll just remain.
Well, no, you have to. No. You have to stick by it and look. And I said this about the you know, when I'm getting into it with Nate now over the Russell Brand thing. I say, look, you gotta believe in innocent until proven guilty across the board, right? You gotta believe in it with people you like and people you don't like. I believe that as an ethical thing, and I do take that very seriously. Now, if I am speaking about stuff that is before a verdict, I talk about it as allegations, as, you know, especially if we haven't gone to trial, anything that's brought out there is just information. It's not evidence yet. It hasn't been entered into evidence. It hasn't met an evidentiary standard. It's not evidence, right? So I don't talk about it that way. However, after a jury verdict, I'm like, this person is the thing, because under the law, they are the thing, right? So they're no longer, if someone's convicted of manslaughter, they're no longer, you know, they're no longer a just person, right? They've killed, right? Now, they have an appeal, right? They have they're entitled to whatever else, but they've done the thing. If they're convicted of theft, they're a thief, right? You can say that, right?
Except unless I represent them.
Right. Yes, that is a different duty, right? That's a different duty. But what I'm saying is, and you're allowed to do that and go through the appeal process. And if going through the appeal process, you find out there was a fundamental flaw in the case, then they're innocent again, right? I mean, if you're able to exculpate them from liability, right? If you're able to remove it.
The issue was self-defense, because the officer, and the question was legal duty of the officer approach. It's quite an interesting case. The expert, you know, the expert who's in your chat, the White Rabbit, covered that case basically gavel to gavel and broadcast it. And there was a lot of interesting legal issues. Our esteemed state attorney actually handled the closing part of the closing arguments. I better not. I better really keep. I've had several drinks here.
Yeah. We're gonna stay on the. We're gonna stay on the light side.
Thank you for the super chat.
But this does show that, like, Steve is active. He's in the game. He knows his stuff. He is a true Florida man. He's a Florida man living the Florida man life, the Florida man criminal life, but in a different way nowadays. You know, he's not in it. He's of it, right? He's
of it. Yes,
above it, right? You know?
Well, and death penalty. You know, we in Florida love the death penalty.
Yes,
we are, of course, so out of sync with the world, and not just the country. The world. We are so aggressively pro-death penalty in Florida, which is one of my biggest criticisms of DeSantis. Death penalty debates, if you want to argue with me, read the book and then come back at me, email me, I will discuss it with you. But we are basically, the courts are saying, we don't even care what the U.S. Supreme Court says. We're just going to do it our way because Florida man knows everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. People are saying Steve is on it. Steve representing. Steve is 3 sheets to the wind.
No, I'm okay.
No, he's good. No. I've gotten you on like 4 or 5 sidecars sometimes. Like,
oh man, I'll tell you. No, but Jeff of Legal Vice is the one that got me. I thought that I got the record. I thought I beat that record with that one night. I may not have remembered. How many were you on that?
That may have been it, because you were telling me like, oh, this is passing Jeff of Legal Vice.
Oh, was it? Okay, well, that may be. I kind of forgot. I mean, that was, that
was back when I was tempting you off of his stream with my Florida man Giles, and I was like, You got to come over to the dark side, where we don't just stick to one place, where we float around like a leaf on the wind. I am so excited.
That was one of the greatest things. That was so
and by the way,
entertaining.
I'm coming back with that strong when we get into major cases, like when we get into Courtney Clenny, Sarah Boone. I'll be covering those cases. I'll be doing those, and I will 100% be doing that for sure. No, what is this? Media, Stephen Gosney. Is this just for the Ninth Circuit? See, for Sarah Boone, you can be, You can be up in that hizzy. Now, we still don't have a official trial date yet, and she has dismissed her counsel yet again.
I'm really, as a consumer, I am out of Orlando, so I will not be handling the appeal. So I am all for, at this point, I can now officially say,
talk about it. Yeah.
I am ready for a pro se Sarah Boone trial.
Oh, that will be so good. If it is pro se, it will be fantastic. Yes. I'm ready for it to be pro se. I really want it to be pro se.
Otherwise, it's going to be kind of a dark and depressing trial. But if she's pro se,
it'll be Daryl Brooks. It'll be Daryl Brooks as a white woman.
But with a disciplined judge, because I know the judge here, and it ain't going to be any of this. It'll be like it'll be not going to do that.
He's not going to do that with Daryl Brooks, where the judge mommy was just kind of letting him go. It's going to be like, but that's going to be fun. So pro se. So this is actually a good question. Jay asked, "What does pro se mean?" Pro se means you represent yourself. It is very discouraged. The judges try not to do it, right? They try not to let it happen.
The defense attorney, who's pretty good actually, who just got off, said, he said in his motion, he's like, she really needs to represent herself because she's not going to be happy with anybody but herself. And
she wants to make her argument. And I'm like, let her make her argument. Even if it's not legal, even if it's ridiculous, even if it doesn't comport with the law, even if it's not admissible as evidence, let her make her crazy ass argument. Let her do it. Let her try to do it.
I actually, one of my major wins in the 5th DCA, District Court of Appeal, was on a guy that demanded to represent himself. And the judge up in Flagler County said, I'm not letting you because you're going to do a terrible job and I don't agree with your strategy. And his strategy was stupid. But you have the right to represent yourself on a stupid strategy. And he was wrong on that. So I got him overturned and got him a new trial based on the judge refusing to let him to represent himself. So I'm hoping that Sarah Boone, and I'll tell you, Judge, you need to let her represent herself. I am all for it. I'm not going
to and stop, like when you're on attorney number like 6 or 7 or 8, whatever, like you've gotten past like 4. You're not wasting you're wasting the government's money, like in the time, because like they're paying for this, like PDs, it's government time, money. They clearly do not like any lawyer. You've gone through all the options, right? You've like gone through and shown them to be like, okay, it's time for pro se, right? It's time for you're wasting our time. We're unnecessary delay. Like, just let's do it. You want to represent yourself? Go right a fucking ahead. Right.
Check this out. I want to show you how nice this is. Completely random Florida man diversion, but
sure.
I had somebody send me this, and this is really cool. Actually, it was the Hidden Hand, who's one of our chatters. You ever met the Hidden Hand?
No, I have not met them.
Look what he drew for me.
That is really cool.
Isn't that nice?
That's really cool.
The Hidden Hand. He's really did a great job, and we did a stream. He was paralyzed from the waist down. He fell down he was up from New York and he fell down. And so he's been in recovery. And so we did a little stream to talk about a recovery, what it's like and learning and that, Silver Surfer, one of my favorites.
Silver Surfer. Yeah. There's been a lot of really great folks. And I want to give a great shout out to the community, the members of the chat, members of the BLM, the base legal mindset. They're some of the best and most talented. And they have so many skills. Like people just have talents and different things. There's guys that can design merch really well. There's guys that come up and say, hey, I can make some background music for you. I can help you out with this or that. There's a lot of really skilled people, and it's really amazing, humbling.
Like somebody sent me Ben sent me these little coasters with the prepare sign on it.
Right.
And Danielle sent me I still have it in my office, a thing where I can put my pens. Lots of good stuff. It's so neat to get those little gifts, and people really respect you. So
they really do. They really do.
I give you my list here. Go ahead.
Well, no. I was saying I think we got all of the. I'm looking through. We got all the rants. We got all the chats. So I think we're pretty
close.
Well, solid. This has been a pretty good one.
I would do like to ask you, because I know that you used to
hit me with it.
That you represented the theme parks, and so you can go ahead and say add these theme parks to your repertoire, but also give them some Florida man like Juniper Run in a canoe, going down the Ocala National Forest in Juniper Run.
Guinea Springs Springs with alcohol. So here's the thing about Guinea Springs is our Ginny Springs. People say it different ways. Many of the state parks you cannot drink while you're tubing, you're floating down the river. You can do that in Ginny Springs. So it is one of the great experiences to be down, sitting on a river, and you got an inner tube that just got your cooler in the middle. It's floating there. Make sure it'll float, but you got it floating on down. You're drinking, you're relaxing with your friends. It's a hot summer day or anytime where it's hot, right? Because springs are a solid, constant temperature. So throughout the year, they're temperature. Now it'll be too cold in the winter, but during the summer, it is a godsend. It is
wonderful. It's God's
gift. It is amazing. Definitely check that out for sure. A lot of the smaller places too, you can check out. Like for example, someone brought Matheson Hammock. Like if you're in Miami and you want to head out and see kind of like an area that's the mangrove, like the natural Florida thing, you can go check out Matheson Hammock, and you're much closer than having to go out all the way into the Everglades, right? So you don't have to drive like hours out and to go jump in to see what natural Florida looks like. A lot of other things. Depends on what they're looking for. But yeah, go ahead. You got some, Steve?
Well, no, because I'm hitting a lot of Central Florida stuff because that's my stomping grounds. But you have some South Florida, like
South Florida stuff. South Florida stuff is more my jam.
Like the middle.
I would also say, for example, you also you want to check out. I usually spend a time not on South Beach, but on the other beaches. So I will go to like a Crandon, right, which where more of the locals are, right, or the beaches that are leading up to. They used to be more open around the Seaquarium. I don't go to the Seaquarium, but the beaches around there, very good, very good area to hang out with, and to like relax in. That's not as many tourists and more Miami people. Middle Keys are fine. They're fine. You don't need to go all the way to Key West to get the Keys experience. In fact, you can go fairly close to Homestead, right? Fairly close to Florida City, Homestead. You don't have to go all the way to Key West. You can just go, 30 minutes out, find a nice small key, and just enjoy it. I think that's the great thing. The ocean rednecks. You start seeing Trump signs on a boat, you're in the right place.
Well, that's you can just go see it. Go to Haulover Inlet and watch all the idiots trying to get out of the inlet in their boats and the waves and get swamped. That's good Florida man entertainment. It's
very good.
Haulover, right? Are you familiar with Haulover?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's like, it's a little challenging to get out that break. There's a lot. It's not quite made for what the people are trying. They get in their little skiffs and they think, I'm going to get out of here, and they nosedive and swamp their boat and all kinds of fun. So you can that's just vast entertainment, watching all the idiots in their fancy boats screwing them up.
Oh, someone asked this. This is actually interesting because it's really neither in either of our hometowns. But yes, I've been to Sanibel and Captive. They're very beautiful. However, I will say this: Sanibel has become more commercialized over the years. They also added that toll to get to Sanibel. That wasn't there when I was a kid. So now you're paying the toll for Sanibel, but it's still worth it. It's very beautiful. I don't know. Somebody also asked in the chat, how is it after the hurricane? I haven't been back after the hurricane. So that's a question.
Also, we didn't really talk too much either about the Naples area or the Panhandle.
Well, the Panhandle, to me, to be completely honest, it is almost Alabama. It's almost literally they have a motion to secede from Florida many times to join over with Alabama. They are more culturally in tune with that area over there in like Alabama, Florida-Bama.
Well, it's Jacksonville, South Georgia. Pensacola is really East Alabama, and then Naples is kind of its own little like secret. That's like the rich folks who don't want to live in Miami. It's much more conservative.
Very conservative in Naples. Very conservative. Ave Maria.
Ave Maria is there. The Catholic law school, and it is in Naples. And
real money. Fort Myers is like the dirty version, right? Because people lump them together, but there's a big difference between Fort Myers and Naples, right?
Naples is the high end because see we have Ponte Vedra. People think of like St. Augustine, Jacksonville, but Ponte Vedra is one of the richest zip codes in the U.S.
Correct.
And it's like the purpose they can exclude all the scum.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. They just do it that way.
Yes.
I mean, and that's Florida.
They end up in Daytona Beach.
Florida can take you high and can take you real low. You can go any flavor you want in Florida, and that's one of the beautiful things about it. That's what I like about it.
Well, that was great. I really enjoyed the stream.
I think that's a good rounding out of it, guys. So make sure you guys are subscribed to Steve Gosney on Rumble, on YouTube. Make sure you get all of his books. Ideas and Answer in Law, Summer Friend, Death Penalty Debates. What am I missing? What's the last one?
Prepare.
And also,
and Brucey the One-Eyed Wonder Dog, my children's book, is going to be out in Thanksgiving. It's available for pre-order from stevegosney.com. Be great for, it's only available for me. It will be a beautiful, sweet, Christian-based book that will be, that's a sweet, beautiful book that I poured my heart and soul into, and it will be a great Christmas gift. And it'll be out to you for Christmas to give to all the children in your life and to read to them and to gift to them. So Brucey the One-Eyed Wonder Dog, that's the next book up. And please do go pre-order at stevegosney.com because Christmas is coming. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. All right. So guys, make sure you got all that. So subscribe, and we will catch you all on the next one. Peace.